All right. So
I like that.
I, this conversation, like I said, I was talking to security boss today, and this is a deep conversation. It really is. A lot of people are affected. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't see anything wrong. I don't experience that," but a lot of women experience this colorism. And when I looked up the definition of colorism today, it was amazing to know that it's something within our own culture that we do to each other, right? Based on our skin complexion. It's crazy. So what I want to start by asking, I'll start with the book of Genesis and then we'll move up. Um, Genesis, have you? What is the definition for you of colorism? Have you ever experienced it?
I have most definitely experienced it. I got a little tan now, but when I was younger, I was a bit lighter, and the dark skinned girls had it out for me, and it was my own sisters.
Mm, wow. We're gonna talk about that. Shamira?
Well, first of all, what is colorism? Or you
Yeah,
just
yeah. What is colorism and have you experienced it?
well, of course, I mean, I think you defined it, pretty much what colorism is. And yeah, I experienced it growing up. Like my grandfather, he didn't want me to be dark skinned, even though I was. And so I had experiences where like he wouldn't let me go outside. Like when he let my brother and all my cousins and stuff go, because like they were all lighter than me. He just didn't want me going out in the sun and getting darker. So like I had to stay inside.
Wow.
Wow.
TJ, how about you, hon?
I know what it is, and again, I think your definition covers it. I think that interesting to what Shamira is saying and what Genesis said. I'm kind of brown now, but I used to be really, really fair skinned when I was younger, really, really light skinned, and I remember when I was in college, particularly, the ladies would say, TJ, or guys and girls would say to me, you look like you should be an AKA, because most AKAs were fair skinned. So I would get that a lot. And my grandfather was very, very dark. And it's interesting because I noticed that he really kind of, well, me and my sister were pretty fair skinned, but I was lighter than her, that he really, I guess he was proud to have us when we would be out, because we would get a lot of compliments about how pretty we were. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were lighter skinned, if that makes any difference. But yeah, I've experienced it on as a fair skinned lady.
Mm. All right. What about you, Chris?
Yes, I've experienced it. I wouldn't say too much recently, but I've heard stories from my mom. She and her sister were treated differently because their skin tones are different. So my aunt, who's a bit lighter than my mom, she was told that in finding a man, she had to just look pretty, and she would get someone who was going to wine and dine her, and she would never have to lift a finger. My mom was told that because she was darker, it would be harder for her to find a man, so she had to learn household chores in order to make sure that she could keep him. So she had to make sure that she was serving him, and my aunt was told that she needed to make sure he was serving her, and that was simply based on their shades.
Wow. Thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that. Robbie?
Yes, I know what colorism is, but to be quite honest, I've never been a victim of colorism, and I've never victimized anybody for being a different shade. Like when I was born, I was super pale. Like I still am kind of pale, low key. Don't let the lighting fool you. I play with my filters so I could look, a little bit browner, so I don't be looking like Casper up on the screen. But I've always found dark skin to be quite stunning. And in my family, we have such a huge array from like passable for white to all the way to the roots of Africa. So we all were taught to embrace our shades and our tones. And I don't really tolerate people that are like, oh, she's light skinned, so ill. Oh, she's dark skinned, so ill. So I've not been subject to that really.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Tawana.
Well, yes, I guess, of course, I've experienced colorism in a lot of different ways, but I mean, Black people in general, we experience it because we've internalized this whole proximity to whiteness, and whiteness being the best thing that you could possibly be, superior to everything. So, of course, the closer you are to whiteness, the better. In our community, we've been taught that to praise white features, to kind of look at white features as if they're better than Black features. It's internalized, and some people I know aren't conscious of that because media pushes this whole beauty standard and idea to us. But of course, in my personal life, I've experienced it from men who may think that I look prettier than somebody else because of my skin tone, etc., from women who are, say, reference or jealous of whatever, or the opposite, people thinking that I'm not light enough, or I don't necessarily qualify to be, light skin, or whatever. So it's been so many things, or being compared as a child to my dark skinned cousins, and them making them feel like they weren't as pretty as like us that were light skinned. So yeah, I've seen it in so many different ways. So can't wait to talk about it a little bit more in depth.
Absolutely. Security boss, what do you, my lovely co-host for tonight, what do you think? Have you ever experienced it? And what do you think about what you heard the lady say so far?
Some of what they said is like very shocking. I hate that it happened, but I'm more aligned with Robbie. I have never, even though I'm the darkest one here, and I hope that's not colorism, but I don't think that I have. When men didn't date me, I just thought I wasn't their preference or whatever. Let me tell you what I have heard though. I have when I was younger. I mean, I was much darker than I am now. Like right now, if I could go to a tanning bed, I would do it because I just love dark skin. Not to take away from anyone else, but I just love my dark skin. But I did used to get this, you're pretty for a Black girl, but I didn't feel like that was so much of a negative. I just thought that was the way that they were expressing themselves. But it was one time though that I was working. I was about 19 years old, and I was working in Sears, and a lady, an older Black woman who was very fair skinned, very, very light. She said to me, "Come here, little colored girl, and help me." Now that shocked me, and I didn't bother to say anything to her at all because she was living in her time, even though we were in a different time, and she was an older woman. But that would be probably the closest thing that I could even think of that was a form of colorism. But everything else has just been, I don't know. I just haven't, maybe I'm just don't pay attention. I don't know, but I haven't really experienced anything else, nothing from grandparents or anything. It's shocking to hear that your grandparents don't want you to go outside. My grandparents ran me outside. Going outside, don't come in the house, stuff like that. So that's just kind of, gosh, I didn't know.
Right. And the first thing I want to talk about as an open discussion is the term passing. Right. So we'll start there. Anybody familiar with passing? The Black women, for the audience that may not know, these are Black women that you look at them and they look white. All right. And so a lot of the women, especially in the 40s, 50s, 30s, that look this way could go sit and have dinner inside of restaurants. They didn't have to go to the back door to get their food. They were just considered white, and they were treated as such, and nobody knew about it. I'm thinking of a movie that I watched that had The Imitation of Life. Is a great example of what I'm talking about. And so anybody ever dealt with that? Because like the security boss just said, the lady that was passing, what are you guys thoughts on passing? The women that are Black but consider themselves, they act in whiteness. Anybody can just hop in at any time.
I don't think they act in whiteness. I just think it just happens to be their genetic makeup. Like I told you, a lot of people in my family can pass for white. They just happen to have a super fine texture of hair, and they just happen to be super light skinned. But baby, come to the cookout, huh? See if they acted up and they blickety black. But society will look at them as if they aren't, and then it becomes a problem because then they have to qualify themselves that they are black. Even my little sister is a biosecurity forces complexion. However, her hair is a finer texture than the blooming ebony. So they always swear to God that my sister is somebody's Ethiopian, that she comes from the Middle East somewhere. She's like, no, I'm black. I'm from America. My mom and my daddy black. Like they black power, slave. We black. So it's ridiculous how society tries to put us in boxes.
Right.
We people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Before anybody else goes, I want to bring up this was a lot of power here on this panel tonight. This is amazing. And so I had to bring some balance in here tonight. And if you guys don't mind, I got one little spot left for some balance in here. So I want to bring a little balance in here. You guys know him. I know him as his new nickname is Black Satin. But you guys know him as Sir Hell Speaks. Sir Hell Speaks.
What's up, man?
Yeah, what's
Beautiful
up,
ladies, how are you? Good to see you.
All right. So now, anybody else want to do? TJ had her hand up about passing. Have you ever seen it or dealt with it or come in contact with anyone?
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, my grandmother was born in 1887, and she was very fair skinned. Came of Cherokee Nation, so it's not that she, intended to pass for white. When people made assumptions, she just allowed them to assume and took advantage of it when necessary. But yeah, she was, she did not being black, but again, if white people made the assumptions and it afforded her certain things that she was able to, help her family with, she did it.
Go ahead, Shu.
In regards to Imitation of Life, I've seen that movie, and like the daughter in that film who she was trying to pass, and she started dating this white guy, and she didn't want him or his family to know that she was black. And of course, like for those who haven't seen the movie, like at the end, like she regrets it, but the whole thing was she knew she had an opportunity to have a better quality of life because of that. And then on top of that, because you got to think of the zeitgeist, like that point in time, it was it wasn't as celebrated to be someone of darker skin, and the whole "I'm black and I'm proud" movement hadn't come. So before then, it was like it was a almost like a scarlet letter to be black. It was like it wasn't something to be celebrated, because you automatically knew like life was going to be hard. So for those who could pass, and not just in that movie, but in real life, for a lot of people who could pass, a lot of them did, because they knew they had access to more things than they would if they were darker. So,
Absolutely. And Robbie, Privilege, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate it, honey. So anybody like Tawana, have you ever heard the term passing? And if you have you ever heard it in your family? Have you ever heard anybody using the term as far as passing? And what do you think about that term, period? I know
you trying to stir me up today. It's okay.
I am.
All right. So, this whole idea of passing. How do I say that? Okay. So I will say that, yes, that sometimes people used it like to navigate through those times, and it was beneficial. They got preferential treatment, as opposed to like a woman who you could tell was black, right? We couldn't step in those places. I've also seen the reverse, where women who pass as white, who are in our community, weaponize that, right? I've seen it being weaponized in a way against black women, right? Like to say, okay, my features are better, and I'm better because I have this proximity to whiteness. And I've seen it not just from the women, but the men who elevate their features and make them a preference and make them seem like they are better than Black women, right? Traditional Black women. So I've seen it, I've seen it work in both ways. I've seen people just be able to pass because that's, they were fair skinned. In our racial group, we tend not to be protective of racial identity. So we tend to allow, if you say you Black, you Black. It's like, now, being a woman, the movement, right? If you say you want to be a woman, you're a woman. Like, it's those types of things. I think we've always had a history of doing that. So people of all different type of cultures, mixed race people who are not truly Black, can say that they identify as Black. So that's caused a lot of colorism as well. So that's my nice way of saying what I have to say.
Hey, look,
I said it the best I can.
Right, and I want to encourage you guys. Listen, I want you guys to be as unfiltered as you possibly can, because I think the conversation needs to be had, and they need to hear different perspectives. So you don't have to be nice about it. You can be
I was honest. I was honest.
Absolutely.
That's my feeling about it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Book of Genesis. What are your thoughts?
I have heard passing. I have relatives that can pass. I don't know. I have mixed emotions about it. I love melanated skin, and I think that it should be embraced. I don't think that everything related to our brown skin should be looked at as a negative. As a light person, I always envied, the people with the dark complexion. I don't know. I just found something beautiful about it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it, I guess, is the thing.
Anybody else want to go on this topic as far as passing?
Not
Right.
oh,
Because security boss, go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Sir Hill hasn't said anything. I didn't want to.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sir Hill. What are your thoughts?
When there's a panel full of beautiful women, I just sit back and wait till everybody's talking.
Absolutely.
So what I was just thinking about is that, okay, so I understand that colorism does exist, whether I can identify a lot with it or not, but I want to know how it actually mentally or emotionally affects us. I want to know how it alters your life. I mean, why is it even a thing? I mean, people have their preferences. People have their preferences. If, like I said, if a man didn't choose me, I felt like I wasn't his choice. It wasn't that there was a light-skinned woman around the corner with long hair. I never thought that. So I'm having a little bit of trouble. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I'm the blackest one, but I got to be honest. I cannot right now, unless y'all help me. I need to relate to this because I don't see it the way that you all have expressed it. Now, to have the grandparents say such a thing, that's a real thing. But I really want to know how it affected you. How did that make you feel? Why is this such a thing now? Because it's a big thing now.
Anybody want to jump in on that? Anybody want to respond to that question?
I will. Well, I would say this: growing up, a lot of that had to do with where I'm from, where I grew up. I'm from Alabama, Montgomery specifically. So a lot of that with my grandparents, my grandfather in particular, like don't get me wrong, I knew he loved me because I was like the youngest grandchild, and he also spoiled me in ways that he didn't spoil like his other grandchildren. Like certain things I could do that they couldn't. But at the same time, when it came to a darker complexion, darker skin, he didn't want me to be dark because he knew like life would be harder for me. And that's what a lot of it was. And so he just didn't want me to be any darker. But that's how it was. When I was younger, I guess because I didn't understand like what my skin complexion had to do with anything. It didn't affect me like that. All I was looking at it was from the perspective of, why do they get to go outside and I don't? Why can't they play outside? I gotta stay in here. That's how I was looking at it. I was just like, that's not fair. That was my perspective. But when I got older and as I started seeing things, like for instance, when I got to high school, I had friends who were like, they wanted a light-skinned boyfriend, they want a lighter husband because they wanted, either mixed babies, or they wanted a child with light skin or with curly, like the pretty curly hair and stuff like that. Those were conversations that were had. So for me, when it comes to colorism, it was a real thing. When I hit junior high school, and that's when, you know, boys and girls start really liking each other and start trying to date. Most of the guys went for the light-skinned chicks. And I mean, I can speak just from my personal experience. A lot of the light-skinned chicks thought they were like the ish because all the guys affirmed that. You know what I'm saying? Because all the guys went for them. Like, so I mean, that's just what it was. And anytime you hear people talk, you know, they compliment a woman, like they always talk about, oh, I want somebody light skinned with long hair. And when you look in the mirror and you see like, that's not me. Yeah, it does affect you. It hurts.
And I may have been light skinned, but I did not have the pretty hair. So I was a light skinned chicken head straight up. So, you know, light skinned chicken head with freckles. So I didn't come into my own until I was in college. But again, to Shamira's point that, you know, again, I was the first grandchild. So my grandfather would have done anything for me, but you don't understand certain things as a child because you see them through the lens of a child. But again, I told you, my grandmother was born in 1887. My grandfather was born in 1910. Very, very dark skinned. So again, to make those assumptions about what your life would or would not be was based on their own experiences.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of it too, the reason why we look at things the way we do now is because we are in a different time where it's more acceptable to be brown skinned women or darker skinned women are celebrated. So we tend to forget what things were like then and what the circumstances were. So like, it's easy now to be like, oh, I don't see how people could think like that, or I don't see how people could not like the color of their skin, where it didn't come from nowhere. Like, it's a whole history behind that, and the mentality still exists. Like, it may not be as strong, but it still exists. It's still there.
I think it's interesting, you know, when I think maybe sometimes it's so institutionalized and it's so normalized that people kind of don't pay attention to it. But there's so many studies that talk about the differences, even in the like who is preferred. If you look at marriages, Black marriages, there's a small percentage of like dark-skinned women who are married as opposed to lighter-skinned women. So there's like plenty of studies that suggest that color affects decision making when it comes to who you marry, who you find attractive. Rarely do they find women with darker skin like men. If you put like all these studies that they put, you know, women in front of, you know, men, right? And men judge beauty standards. It's even, have you seen the doll test? How they look at the darker doll and the lighter doll. There's so many things that suggest that it's implicit, that people just automatically assign certain beauty standards. So even if you're not conscious of it, people are looking at you and judging you based on those features. Now, how it affects you is how you feel about yourself, I think. Because I think that, like, if you love yourself and you have self-esteem and you don't let those things prevent you from moving forward, it's like racism. It's like anything, right? If you say, well, yeah, there's racism, but I'm going to do everything to fight that or to go against that, that's what's going to happen. You're going to probably succeed in life. You more than likely will, because you're going through life knowing that it's an issue, but not letting it prevent you from moving forward. I think that happens a lot, but I know that what she said in the corner, I don't remember your name because he took the names off. Yeah. What she said is key. I mean, there is men who prefer white women who have white features, and there's women who the proximity to whiteness is more attractive than it is when you're not. That you even got preferential treatment in slavery. You get to work in the house. You was a house slave. Everybody wanted to be a house slave. They didn't want to be in the field. I mean, there is a difference in the way you're treated. That's why brown paper bag existed. So we can definitely, I mean, there is definitely colorism you know, how it affects individuals, I don't know. It hasn't prevented me from being able to advance in life or do anything I wanted to do. Psychologically, did it affect my self-esteem? Probably, right? Like growing up, did I feel like I wasn't as beautiful as other women? Did I compare myself to other women? Absolutely. I mean, I think even in this space, I get compared to other women, you know, like, oh, you know, she jealous of these women because she on the panel with them and they lighter than her. Like, no, that's crazy. But that's what happens in these spaces. People use skin tone to weaponize against Black women. So I don't know. I just,
And do me a favor. Do me a favor, Tawana.
yes.
Explain that paper bag, because I was going to do it, the brown bag test. Explain that to the audience, because a lot of people don't. Me and Von Bryant, shout out to Von Bryant, one of the best moderators. But yeah, explain what that brown paper bag is to the audience.
I mean, pretty much the whole concept is if you got one drop of Black blood, you Black. But that whole passing idea, the way that they used to measure your Blackness was they would hold up a brown paper bag and they would say, if you was darker than the brown paper bag, you was Black, right? You don't fit with the white. You can't assimilate, because guess what white people do that we don't do? They protect whiteness. They don't let everyone in whiteness. That's why biracial people rarely can identify as white. They have to say they're Black. I mean, that's just what it is, because they protect whiteness. So they said, no, you got to pass this paper bag test. And if you're darker than this, then you Black. You definitely Black, right? Even if you got a white mama, they don't care. And so that's just how it go. And I think we ended up instilling that in ourselves and in our culture. So now we tell people, you got a little bit of white and Black in you Black. I mean, we instill that. That's a racist mentality that we pass down to other folks, which is why biracial people, even in this day and age, have a issue with identity and feel compelled to be Black even when they don't want to identify that way. So it's a lot of issues that come from this whole brown paper bag. But of course, I think you should give it a little bit more context, Black Man Unfiltered. But that's, you know, just off the cuff.
Yeah.
I have a little
do it. Yes.
I have a little pushback for that, because if you have a drop of Black in you is not something that we taught. That actually was a federal law in the United States for a long period of time. So it's not something that we taught. It was something that was the law. But when we're talking about light skin being the preferential treatment, you know, we always say, well, in slavery days, the light skinned person got to work in the house. And I liken that to Uncle Tom's Cabin. Everybody is always saying that people that are Black and act a certain way are Uncle Tom, when in reality, they are more reflective of the Sambo character. The same thing goes with slavery. The light-skinned house slaves were forced under sexual subjugation. They were forced to have the master's children. They were forced to be mammies. They were forced to breastfeed the master's children. The darker skinned slaves had the more freedom. They may have had to do a little harder work, but they weren't worried about being sexually assaulted, because all slaves got beat, light skin or dark.
I'm gonna have to push back on that one, because that's not necessarily true. Because again, this is anecdotal. But again, I done gave y'all the timelines of my grandparents. Okay, so my grandfather was born in 1910. His mother was born in the 1800s. My great grandmother was dark. Her oldest son is, so my great grandmother was a slave. Her oldest son was passable, light, green eyes, straight hair. What does that mean? As a child, I did not understand what that means, because all of her other kids were dark, and they didn't say my half brother, they was my brother. But as an adult, what that means is that my great grandmother was raped. So even though she was in the field doing the hard work, she was sexually subjugated. So I would submit, even though it's just anecdotal from my family, I would submit it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Well, I mean, from my family, I grew up with my great grandparents too, and my great grandparents also survived slavery. But just because you're a person that is African American and someone in your bloodline happens to be fair skinned with light green eyes, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were raped by somebody that is Caucasian. When you look at the gamete and the Punnett square and you look at how dominant and recessive genes correlate and match up with each other, it is perfectly malleable for Black people to have lighter children, especially when we look at tribes in Africa that have blonde hair and blue eyes. So, I mean, I get where you're talking about, where you're coming from your family, but we do have to realize that
he's only one of 11 children,
then that means,
the only
yes,
one.
that means that out of 11 children, he got the recessive traits, the recessive genes.
And both his parents were dark as night. I'm inclined to disagree with that.
Okay, well, I'm not, here to talk about your family lineage. What I'm talking about is gamete and Punnett squares, and I know how those work because I do have a degree in science. And it is dominant, recessive, dominant, recessive, dominant, recessive.
I understand what that means. I'm just giving it as an example. In as much as my family, I'm just giving it as an example. That could happen in other people's families too, is what I was suggesting.
No, and I hear what you're saying, but I'm just giving another option because I think that is part of the problem in our community. We always assume that because someone is fairer tone or they have lighter eyes, that they have to have some type of Caucasian in their lineage. And that's not necessarily true. And I think once we start embracing ourselves as a culture, that we come in a multitude of hue and shades and eye colors and hair textures and hair colors, that we will stop being so psychologically affected by colorism. That's all I'm saying, sis.
Yeah, well,
I can agree.
Can I interject real quick? Well, field slaves, like the women and men, were also subjected to, sexual assault, rape, all of that. The difference, though, between the house slaves and the field slaves is that the house slaves were treated better, like in the sense that they were treated, though, they were fed better. And they were, regarded in a better regard than the field slaves were. So, and that's where this whole mentality came from. Like, if a house slave acted up, it's like, okay, well, you want to be outside and with the field with the rest of them, you know what I mean? So there was like a difference between the way the house and slave, house and field slaves were treated. So there was a difference there.
Book of Genesis, been wanting to say something for a while too. Go ahead, Book of Genesis.
I was actually going to say what Shamaria said, that all of the slaves were taken advantage of by the masters, whether they were in the house or in the field. The masters would also come to the slave quarters and have relations with those slaves there as well.
Chris, did you have anything you want to insert there?
Yes. So I want to go back sort of to what Miss Security Boss was saying. So growing up, so I think I was in middle school, and this young man told me, he called me dark and ugly. And if you guys don't know, I'm like a super nerd. And I said, really? Why is that? Why do you think that is? So I went to the computer back then, and I started doing research on colorism. And what I found was it's very prominent in other countries as well. And the idea is the darker you are, it typically meant that you worked in fields, which meant that you had less money. And so if you were lighter, it meant that you were in the house, which meant that you were able to either do a job where you didn't have to be outside, or your parents already had money and you didn't have to work, right? And so what ended up happening when I was like, maybe I don't know how old I was, but it was sometime between middle school and high school. I thought, I'm not going to date men in other countries because I made an assumption that they're going to think that I'm unattractive and that I'm like a peasant, because I'm darker. And if they didn't, their families would. So I just avoided them completely. And when I started my feminine journey, the coach was saying, they call those limiting beliefs, when you just kind of cut something out because you're afraid that it could go wrong. And so I faced that and I said, I can't just put that blanket statement across all of these different countries. Like, that's not fair. And I one day decided that colorism doesn't affect me. It won't affect me. It doesn't affect me. And 6 months later, I started dating someone from West Africa. who was everything I ever wanted. And I realized that I was letting it block me from so many amazing things. So I like Miss Security Boss what she was saying. Is it just me? Is it my perspective? I think that's the right perspective to have, because you don't want it to seep into the decisions that you make, right? You think that you're on the right path, but really it's just fear, right? You're afraid of not being accepted for something that you have no control over. It makes absolutely no sense.
And
And
that's
let me
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
let me clarify this real quick, because y'all feel that all slavery was the same. So I'm going to put it to you like this. Maybe if I break it down in this analogy, you might get a deeper understanding. When you go to work, right? If you work in the office and your boss is there, your job is harder. You have to be on point every moment of the day because your boss is there. When you're working without being under his eye and constant supervision, your job becomes easier. You may be subjected to all the rules of all employees, but you're not being constantly monitored. So that's where I come to the point that if you're a light-skinned house slave, you can't breathe because you're always underneath of somebody's eye. If you step wrong, you're going to get whipped and beat and terrorized in the house. You're under consistent psychological terror. And I think the interesting thing about our community and our culture is it's often groupthink and herd mentality. And anytime there is a vein of thought that is outside of the box, it's always like, oh no, what are you saying? Instead of taking a moment to maybe digest it and look at it from a different perspective. Maybe that's why I've never been subjected to colorism, because I don't look at it as a real thing.
I think it matters, how you look at it, because even though they weren't under the watchful eye of the master all of the hours of the day, their environmental conditions were more severe than the people who worked in the house. They didn't have the extreme heat inside the house where they were working. So it's give and take. On this end, it was worse in one way. Outside, it was worse in a different kind of way.
I hear what you're saying, but I also know that slaves came directly from Africa, where it's substantially hotter. I also know during slavery time, there was no AC. They barely had fans. They had to drink mint juleps. Heck, they didn't even have ice. Let's be real. So what was it? A little more shade because it was a structure? Come on, we're talking about a group of people that was brought here from a land that is purely attacked by the sun all day long. That is what they were accustomed to. And I think we sit there and we try to identify with slavery as if we were ever slaves. We are not 12 years a slave. We did not go through that struggle. And we can only go off of the stories that were passed down from our ancestors and our family members. The reality is we don't know which part was better, which part was worse. There is no empirical data that light-skinned slaves had it easier because they was in the house. There is no empirical data that dark-skinned slaves had it easier because they was in the field. It's part of that Willie Lynch syndrome that we've been fed and we are forced to believe, which again perpetuates this colorism. And what we as a people have to do is break down the mental slavery that we still exist under. But I'm gonna be quiet.
So I want to reference something. I'm sorry.
I think it depends on the age. Some of us aren't that far removed from those ancestors that were actually slaves.
Security boss, you want to go ahead?
Oh, I was just gonna
Me and Sir Hill, we're gonna get him in.
It's nowhere near the end of the show, but I want to make reference to something Tawana said about even the colorism being in these YouTube spaces amongst women. I don't know who would be the choosing of, who's best at this or who's worse at this, but we got to put in some kind of solutions to this, because I wouldn't even think that somebody's sitting back saying, oh, she's lighter, or they probably wouldn't say that. There'd probably be something like, I like her better, and they may not even be able to say why. So to hear that is kind of scary,
right? Like even just kind of like, oh, she can't compete with them, right? Or even and they'll say it in the comments. They'll make a reference about how big somebody nose is, or how she don't look as cute as those two girls, and they're not referencing a skin tone, but
right.
I mean, you see what's happening, right? So you can make what your best guess. But like you said, and like everybody's saying that, you know, if you have security within yourself, you know, and you are aware, like, I mean, I can't be gaslit or put against another Black woman. We all beautiful. I mean, look at all of us, right? But if you aren't as secure, you know, and you're on a panel and men are saying negative things like that, you know, or even if women are saying it, it can affect you, you know. So I kind of connect with everybody, you know, and everything that they've experienced. So
So you're talking about some conditioning that's going on that we're now unaware of. We're totally unaware that we have this programming or conditioning that's in our mind. Men, I guess men and women, to think that, you know, like you said, they call out things like your nose or things that may represent something and they use it against us. I don't know. I guess I just kind of, I don't know. I just, it's funny to hear this because you're saying this is amongst Black people. That's weird to hear. I didn't think that.
I mean, there's even studies, and I'm not saying that I've personally experienced this in the workplace, but there's even studies that reference, you know, a dark-skinned woman, a light-skinned woman, same credentials. You know, essentially they've given them like the same questions or same responses. They've even kind of made the darker skinned woman like, you know, a little bit like more elevated in her responses, right? And then there's been just studies that will say, you know, that a person will be picked just because they're lighter or maybe more attractive, right? Or, you know, proximity to whiteness. So, I mean, it's not, you know, it's all based on our experiences in life and, you know, whatever what you choose to believe in, what you don't. But just me studying, you know, colorism and studying, you know, African American history and how it's been internalized and beauty standards in general, you know, I honestly believe that it does happen, like you said, subconsciously for the most part.
Oh yeah, it would have to, because I heard this the other day that darker skinned women fuss more, or we fight more, we argue more, or something to that effect.
I was just about to get into that after Sir Hill.
Can I get into this really quickly?
Crazy, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Sir Hill. Then we get into that one because that's one I heard
That's
too.
crazy.
So I think there's a couple things that we have to. So from the historical context, we understand slavery. I think we all get that. Right. But I think we have to account for marketing. Marketing had a big impact in terms of media, in terms of how we saw Black people. That's one aspect. And then we got parents who, let's say that colorism, it wasn't a thing. They perceived it as a thing. And when parents perceive something as a thing, guess what they do next? They teach it to their children. And so now we're living with that template. If you remember the show Fresh Prince, y'all remember that show, right? Remember the show The Family Matters. Y'all remember how when Aunt Viv was on there, you know, what was she? The moody, the attitude, and the one she gonna speak her mind. She was gonna get them right. Who did they replace her with? A light-skinned, softer, more soft-spoken.
Yep, exactly.
Same thing with Family Matters. You know, y'all remember Harriet? Right?
Harry was on him.
Right.
On him.
Harriet didn't play. She'd give you that look. And what they replaced her with is the light skin. So what happened is not just the history of what it was. It was the way that dark skin was marketed. It was the way that light skin was marketed. If you take this deeper to the family level, I have a lighter skinned daughter and a darker skinned daughter. And somebody said to my darker skinned daughter, this is what they said. Oh, girl, you cute girl. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different just because you're dark. This is a woman said this to her. Now you when I heard this, I stopped it immediately. Because one thing you're not about to do, now Black Men Unfiltered, Sir Hill has been in the mood all week long.
Yeah, come on, Doc. I'm waiting on you.
You're not gonna put that in my daughter's head.
Exactly.
We're not gonna start putting those seeds of
that
doubt
baby.
because she's dark.
Protect the
Like
baby.
that kind of stuff, I don't play when it comes to that because I know how deep that was. But what was it? They dealt with that. And they felt the need to interject, well, you're beautiful and don't let nobody tell you something. And you just planted a seed of insecurity. Now it's like, well, why would she say that? Is something wrong with my dark skin? And now she has to relive and feel the weight of something that she shouldn't feel before. And I think this is really the issue. It's not just what happened in history. It is the people who keep on repeating their narrative about that history, and they put that on their kids, and their kids are forced to live under that. I think that's where the real problem is.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Thank you, Talk Williams, man, for your super chat, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. So even I'll go to something more recent, because a lot of people may not know Family Matters. If they don't, I don't know. It's on Hulu every day. And then also Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I'll go to one even newer, My Wife and Kids. You remember the little dark-skinned girl played the daughter of the first season?
Oh, that's
and
right.
she was talking about her skin complexion in the episodes, and people were talking about her dark skin. Season 2, yellow skin, tall girl, abs,
Pretty,
curly hair. They replaced her completely.
But this is the thing. In both Family Matters and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the principals were both dark-skinned brown women. In Grownish, the little sassy, frassy young girl that actually steals the whole entire show, she's dark-skinned. So again, I think it speaks to the mindset of the people. What we, the people, choose to lift up as acceptable in the beauty standard. And yes, there are plenty of brown skin and dark skin actresses that are doing it. Gabrielle Union, she's not nobody's light skin actress. She's very chocolate. She's very, very chocolate. What is that? Shirley Randolph. What's her face? Taji P. Henson. She's not light skinned. As a matter of fact, most of the actresses that do have principal roles that we know and we see often are of a darker hue in recent years. Even like how I said, Pam Grier. Now everybody know Pam Grier. Pam Grier ain't nobody light skinned. That's a beautiful brown woman, and she changed the entire game through the blaxploitation era. So again, it's how we choose to look at people. It's how we choose to look at one another. And I think ultimately our prejudice speak volumes by what we find acceptable and what we see as what's promoted the most. We overlook the dark people.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for everybody that's watching right now. Thank you guys for joining the conversation. The conversation has been great so far. If you're just coming in, we're headed to 2,000 guys. So please hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. And on this panel, as you can see, these are content creators, guys. All right. And so all of their links will be put into the comments. And so we really want to make sure that you guys support them as well. Also, I call her Shushu, but Shamira down here, if you have not watched episode 6, I think it is, right, Shamira?
Yeah, it's
episode 6 of Law and Order. She did a wonderful job. Girl can cry on the whim, and I mean, she did an amazing job in Law and Order. So, good job for her. Robbie Privilege, please go subscribe to her. The Unsolicited Security Boss, Tawana G here. The Book of Genesis. We got TJ Randolph in the building, and we also, I want to make sure that Ebony, you have your own platform as well. Is that correct? Yeah, the Blooming Ebony guy. So she has one as well. All of their links will be put into the chat. And my guy, my brother from another mother, Black Satin, as I know him, but you know him as Sir Hell. He has his own platform as well. Does a great job. So please subscribe to him as well. So back to the conversation part where the dating comes in. What men prefer. This is a tough one, because even growing up as a man myself, and Sir Hell, we'll get him in on this one as well. From on the outside looking in, for men did prefer the more lighter skinned women. They did. I'm just back in school. They used to crack jokes on all the dark skinned girls. Right? They had a black joke for all the dark skinned girls, but the light skinned girls, they walk on water. Everybody wanted them. Everybody wanted to date them. Everybody wanted to be with them. It was just something about the light-skinned girls. Either it was light, and then I even remember my uncles used to say, light is right and brown don't get down, or something they used to say to that, or whatever, to that effect. So what do you guys, have you experienced it as far as the dating pool or dating? And have you ever heard it if you haven't experienced it? Anybody can jump in at any time.
I always heard the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. But I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I don't know nothing.
Hey, but that is different, though. Hitting that and being with that are two different things. So there are guys who will, hey, let me get that berry, but that's not who I marry. And
Yep.
there's a lot of it. Yeah, that was bars, black man. You caught that? That was bars.
I got it. Bars.
And so that was the thing, though. And I do want to go into it, but I do want to hear the ladies talk about it, because men do have a preference, but it might not be because of what you think it is.
And Sir Hale, before anybody goes, I need you to do it for me. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, this show's about to take a turn.
Thank you, sir. All right. So go ahead, ladies. We'll start with Tawana. Tawana, what are your thoughts? Because I know you would.
Why is it about to take a turn? Listen, I don't have time for no turns. Listen, I'm just gonna say what I say, and you keep it moving. Now you can keep it moving or not. I'll say this, okay? It's definitely real that people that there's a light skin preference. I mean, I don't know, like, how we can ignore it. We can acknowledge it and just say that men who are not self-hating, men who, like blackness, who value blackness, they don't look at women that way. And they actually like all skin tones and all women. But those men who have issues with their blackness, who self-hate, obviously don't want to be associated or affiliated with blackness in any way. Any woman who has proximity to whiteness and who has white features and where their children won't have to look like you is the best thing for them. So that is a true thing. Men look at, oh, you got pretty hair. Okay, my baby gonna have pretty hair. You got this, my baby gonna have this. And that is what happens to a lot of these spaces. That's why the trends, that's why I don't get anecdotal, right? Because I could talk about how great my life is and how many men I got access to. I mean, I ain't got no problem dating or get married, as y'all can see. But it's so I could get anecdotal and I could talk about my personal experiences all I want. But the trends are real. They show who's getting married and who's not. They show what's happening. I mean, black people, small percentage of us get married anyway. But when you look and break down and they study racial groups, they study skin tones, they study how people identify, and they go into these communities and ask people, like, look at people's skin tone, etc. Those things represent who men are choosing in those communities. Look at dating app data. Okay, look at dating app data and who the men identify as their preferences. They rarely pick black women. Rarely do they pick, especially dark-skinned black women. It just is what it is. I don't know what else to say about it. Sir Hill made the point that media plays a role. Whether we want to accept it or not, there are biracial women who take black women's roles and who are put in those spots. It happens all the time. Yeah, we have Viola Davis. Yeah, we have all of these beautiful black women who are doing great, but we also have women who are not black, who are able to play black women in movies, right? We have those examples as well. I mean, we can ignore that and highlight just those women if we want. But the representation is important, and we have to make sure that we are pretty much being protective of our identity, so that representation is a representation of how we actually look, and women who actually look like us, right? Because I have a daughter who's much lighter than me, and she came up to me and she was like, "But Mom, I'm not the same tone as you, right? Like, I'm way lighter than you, right?" And people say that I'm prettier because I'm lighter. And I told her, like, I had to have a conversation with my daughter because of her being told that because she was lighter, that she was pretty. I was like, first of all, that's not true. Like, that is not true. That do not make you prettier than anyone else. So what we have to do is just, I don't think that we should allow it to control our decision making. But being aware of something doesn't mean that you are going to let it ruin your life. It just means that you're aware, it's out there, and you do your best to avoid participating in it. So that's my spiel on that.
So I push back quickly on that?
Go ahead, Sir Hill.
Yeah, go ahead, Sir Hill.
So why is it always I hear women who are like, "Oh, I love a man, tall, dark, and handsome"? Is she self-hating when she says that? And
Yeah,
the same
you know
thing,
what? No, I'm not saying that she's self-hating.
hold on, let me finish it.
Go ahead.
And so if a man says, I prefer a dark-skinned woman, is he self-hating? The reason I'm asking this is I think it's really easy to convolute someone having what they like and them hating, and that's not always the case. I think there are some people who like a range of women, but for most guys that I know, they have a type. I think most people have a type, and I don't think that necessarily having a type makes you self-hating.
I didn't say that.
So I have a question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
One minute. I just want to respond to Sir Hill because I think people a lot do this. They take it out of context and take what they want to take out of that. I did not say that every man who dates light-skinned women are self-hating, but a lot of men who do it, they do it because of, and only you know, right? I mean, unless you come on this channel and admit that you're self-hating, we don't know that you're self-hating. It may manifest and come out in different ways, but lots of people who do it, they do it, who have a specific preference, like I only date white women, right? There is something that is the reason why you think that that's the only woman that you know, or you want to date. It's a reason, right? It's not just like, oh, I have a preference, especially when you don't want to date any other, the opposite. Like when you say, I don't want to date black, I only want to date white. There's something is the root of that. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I could see if you say, yeah, I just like this woman, right? I like this woman. I like how this woman looks. That's a preference. Okay. But it's not closed off to other women. You just like how this particular woman looks. But there are men who be like, I will never date that other race. I don't like how she looks. To me, there's something self-hating about that statement. There's something that to me is an insecurity that they're not. Like, that's just my opinion. But I understand. I got a preference. I date certain men. I have a preference. So I don't think I'm self-hating. So I would never say anything like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So
oh, girl, you like caramel or you like chocolate, girl? Which one, girl?
Uh-oh.
You know, I'm not, because listen, I have a clip on another show talking about Tawana says she like, no, so I'm just saying, I ain't gonna do that. Right. They've been called me all kind of stuff.
Right. So let's get
Black man, before you ask Genesis this question, I just have a question. Has anybody on the panel ever taken one survey or done, or is there any stat that will have you check whether you're light or dark skin? Has anybody ever did that before? As far as dating goes, you have done that?
Never.
Sociological study, but I do sociological studies.
So what was it based on? I wanted to hear what it was. What was it a survey or was it
yeah, it was specific. It was specifically asking, but they actually noted our skin tone, not us. So so it wasn't like I went there and noted the skin tone, but I did a survey specifically where they were trying to measure like colorism, like they were following us specifically throughout like our career in college, and just, you know, I guess they studied it over time. So I never even read what the study said. Okay, I just know that that's what they initially told us, is that they were like, you know, studying colorism, and they asked like 150 of us to participate in a sociological study.
Because I just wondered how you would get on a dating app that there are more men picking lighter skinned women versus darker skinned women when there may be only 10 darker skinned women on the app.
Well, look at OK Cupid did a study, and it's a sociological study. If you look at the American Sociological, they do studies that look at skin tone. They do things that are outside of the norm, because they know that there's issues that specifically affect the community. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the census where they just put you in a racial category and assign a race to you based on, you know, whatever social constructs. There's people who actually look into specific trends or specific, they study groups. They don't study the entire demographic. They have to go into a community and study that community, right? And then assign that trend, you know, based on the community. So I mean, you can believe studies or you don't have to. I mean, it's,
I just want to know if there's
I
an
so happen to believe in those type of studies. But yeah, I mean, everybody got their, some people like just the census data and they stick to that. So yeah.
Well, I mean, let's go to Genesis.
Yes.
When it comes to the dating thing, when men preferably, because I'll insert this as well. There was a Miami Dolphins player, got on and with his white wife, and he said that he would never be with a dark skinned woman or a black woman because he was scared that he would have ugly children. So he chose just to be with the white lady because he knew that his kids would come out cute. They would have stunning eyes, and they would be, their skin color would not reflect her. But he's dark as me. So, but we'll go to Genesis. Genesis, what are your thoughts on the dating and the preference?
I think that lighter skinned women are preferential to men, or exotic looking women of other races. I absolutely think that they have an advantage. I think that dark skinned women now are becoming more popular because people are embracing melanated skin, but I don't think that was always the case. I do think that, I mean, even with men, I think that they are in season and out of season, depending on what you see in the media.
Thank you, Lady Hell, for your $4.99 super chat. I appreciate it, girl. All right, so okay. I mean, and again, from a man's perspective, I think that I don't know what it is, because even when I saw the NFL, and I think like we go to preference, when they had the NFL Pro Bowl, and we talked about this, I think, Book of Genesis, when all the men pulled up, all the black successful athletes, they got out clean, had their tuxedos on, and they pulled up in their limos, and every one of them, not one dark-skinned woman, and every one of those football players that got out of their car. There was nobody there, security bosses color. Nobody there, shoes color. Nobody.
Can I speak to something with that? It's something that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Those women are strategically placed. What I mean by that is, like, when they try and recruit these high school, athletes to come to colleges, or when they try and recruit these college players to come to the NFL, like, what they'll have for them is they'll throw like trucks, cars at them. And they'll have like hotels with women, white women, in the room with them. They also, like, when they go to these private parties and stuff like that, which y'all don't know, certain parties, if you are darker than a certain skin tone, you aren't allowed there. As a woman, you're not going to get an invite. So the spaces that they're in, they are strategically placed in spaces like that. That's what a lot of people don't know. So some of that, I mean, they're grown, they're adults, they make up their own mind, but that's no coincidence. And another point that I wanted to bring up too, when you talk about preferences and stuff like that, I've talked to quite a few black men, especially, particular men who date outside their race, when it comes to, like, dating white women and stuff like that. I put my inner sister to the side, and we have an open conversation. And I say, well, why do you prefer white women? And it usually boils down to one of two reasons for the most part. Either A, it's because sisters wasn't checking for them in school, or B, white girls were easy. I mean, and that may offend some people, but the bottom line is that was the consensus that I got. So some of it, it is preference, but some of it is, just like I said, certain circumstances they were in, situations that they came up in. And when you talk about athletes, I remember Dennis Rodman specifically saying that he don't want no black woman. He just wanted white women. And like everybody was like up in arms about it, like, oh my God, how can you say that? Especially like during that time. He was just like, I don't care. I don't want no nappy head, whatever. And he wasn't ashamed to say it.
And to add some context to that Dennis Rodman situation, when somebody asked him, it's an interview, I'll send it to you, Shu. They did an interview with him and asked him that. A black woman asked him that question: why do you prefer to be with white women only? He said these words. He said, when I was in middle school and high school, I had a growth spurt. He said, I was probably 4 foot tall. He said, I have a huge growth spurt in middle school and around 8th grade. When I had that growth spurt, he said, when he used to go play basketball or be athletic, all the other guys would get girls, and all the pretty black girls would talk to them. He said, but for the hour of physical education or a basketball game, the black girls used to sit on the sideline and call him. And he said, that's why he took in the name The Worm. He said he used to call him Worm. You ugly. Oh my God. He ugly.
I remember. I know an interview you talk about. I heard that.
I remember. I remember
that. He said, you know, the girls are like, you can't touch me. Ooh, girl, he can't do nothing for me. And he said, when he got older and got his money, the black women started gravitating toward him. He said, I don't want none of you nappy head hoes.
Yep.
And he said, stay away from me. I don't want you. I don't want nothing black on me. I don't want no black kids. White women only.
Yep.
That's what made him. He said that's what made him become the guy that preferred white women only or lighter skinned women only.
Because he was rejected.
He was rejected.
So I have a couple questions real quick because I'm really trying to identify with what y'all talking about, and it don't make a whole bunch of sense to me. So first of all, what do y'all consider light skin and what do y'all consider dark skin? Number one. Number two, have y'all heard of monarch programming with African American people, especially you, Tawana? I know you like sociology studies and stuff like that. Number three, why y'all think every biracial child come out light skinned with the good hair and the light green eyes? Y'all know no biracial kids that done came out with nappy hair and they got regular brown eyes and they brown skin. Like, we gonna act like they don't exist? They don't exist, right? I'm just confused. I'm trying to get clarity for real.
So listen, I never said that, first of all, but I will say this. When it comes to that, you know, what you just said, I think that, well, Shushu really brought it in. I think that when those women are strategically placing these men's lives, but a majority of those guys, like when you even after success, and when they get on stage, and a lot of women cringe when they say, I would like to first thank God for this award tonight. I would like to thank God for being in the Hall of Fame, to my lovely and beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And you see 10 men in a row get up there and accept those awards, and each one of their wives are light skinned or white.
Yeah.
Each one of them, right? And so you'll start seeing this in the community. A lot of black men, and we're going to get into this. I want to segue into this. We're going to segue into it after everybody answers the question about the relationship, though. So I want to go ahead because I don't want to go into that right now. So we're going to go to Blooming Ebony. What do you see? Because you're younger, right? And so what do you see as far as the preference of men in the dating world? Are young men preferring lighter skinned women, or does it even matter?
Personally, I don't see it. Like, the only incident I had was when I was in middle school, like really, really young. And I wouldn't use that to say that men prefer lighter women. I personally think anytime I wasn't being chosen, it was typically because the other women were more sexually active, right? So I wasn't willing to be intimate in high school, and those women were, and so they typically got the guy. And typically it happened to be black guys. So I think a lot of women were just more attracted to black men when I was in high school. I don't know, maybe they were rare and men were, I don't know why, but they were. But I never connected it to or associate with my skin tone. I wouldn't say so. I think it depends on maybe where you grew up. Maybe it's more common in the South, possibly to see it. But growing up on the West Coast, I never made that association.
I live in the Midwest. It's very common here.
Yeah.
Actually, they call red bones here. And talked about in a definite. I mean, I don't even. Yes, like.
Were you at Tawana?
I said I'm in the Midwest. So.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You read when you said red bone, a light bulb went off because
that's what they call them in the Midwest.
They like long hair, thick red bone.
Yeah.
Yep, the lighter skin. Mm-hmm. Exactly. TJ, what do you got for us?
What's the question again?
When it comes to preference, the men dating. Do you think they prefer lighter skinned women, or does it even matter the color? Or do you think what everybody else is saying? Well, most of everybody else is saying that men just prefer lighter skinned women.
Well, I was actually looking at pictures because I can't remember a time that I dated someone that was my color. Either they were lighter than me or they were darker than me. I don't think it's something that I did consciously. I just think it just happened to be who I was attracted to. But interestingly enough, my husband and I are pretty much the same color. But when I was in college, like Genesis said, I was a lot fairer skinned. And when I look at the dating, I dated guys that were darker than me, but I don't think it was something that they consciously chose me or I consciously chose them. I just think that that's who we gravitated toward. Now, I will say, since I've been referencing my grandfather a lot, my grandfather, both of his wives were always much fairer skinned than himself. And I think it goes back to maybe the time period that you wanted someone that was lighter than you. But when I think about it, I cannot think of a time that I've ever saw two dark-skinned people together. I can't. So I don't know if it was something that was done intentionally. I can't say for sure. But I think, interestingly enough, somebody said something earlier about light skin and the pretty hair type of situation. Now, I saw a lot of that. It wasn't just you were light skinned, but you had the quote unquote good hair, as they used to say, or to, again, red bone, because I used to be called that a lot. But I don't think it's something, I can't think of anybody purposely saying, I want to date somebody that's light skinned. I just think that's what they gravitated toward.
And you know what? To add some validity to what Tawana said, I'm looking at it here. I pulled it up. It on the Cupid that she just spoke about. The numbers are here. It says 63% of Black men prefer lighter skinned women or Caucasian women.
Yeah, I mean, I don't lie. I mean, I'm telling you what I read. I don't.
I just want to put the numbers to what you said.
For anyone that had any doubt, you have the data there.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I don't
absolutely.
I don't like to reference data because that's weird too. When you're just having a conversation with your girlfriend, you ain't like, girl, you got to read the American sociology book.
But it needs to be said because, like, I feel like, for the most part, people try and make it seem like it's a figment of our imagination.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you just making it up because you ain't get your way or because you ain't get this. No, like, this is a real.
But I'm married. I'm happily married, and I still know it's true. So
right? Like, this is really true. We ain't pulling it out like the sky. Like,
what you gotta say about me? Because I've definitely been with my man for 6 years, so I ain't gotta lie about whether Black men are choosing Black women. I got chose by a Black man. so here's the thing. So what I'm saying, exactly, TJ, like girl flashed it. So what I'm saying is the fact that I'm noticed, like I can look outside of my specific situation and just observe what's going on in the world around me. I've been around men my whole life and heard them talking about light-skinned women, and
I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's where I grew up.
It ain't no coincidence.
Because I grew up in Alabama, and so these conversations were more prevalent. They were like, going on more. I don't know, but one thing I can say, being in Alabama, once I step out of the South, it's everywhere, but it's especially in more liberal places. People, it's like this facade of, oh, but we're liberal. We don't think like that. It's not like that here. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I'm gonna tell you something else. This problem isn't exclusive to African Americans. Like in Africa and Jamaica, all over it, there's this huge issue with skin bleaching.
That was one of my topics too.
Yeah. Like this is not a figment of our imagination. This is a real issue. It's really going on. And this is really, really going on in people's psyche.
Right. And I had that for later, but I'm gonna go ahead and hop into that skin bleaching. Now,
you never asked me what my experience.
And that happened when I was in middle school too.
So honestly, I got married at 21 years old. I never really had none of these issues with colorism because I didn't limit myself to color when I was dating. I wasn't looking for the light-skinned brother. I wasn't looking for the dark-skinned brother. I wasn't looking for the Black brother in particular either. I was looking for the brother with the good heart and the good characteristics. I don't limit myself that way. Now, to the statistics that you pulled up from Cupid, are you telling me that all the Black men in the world is on Cupid? See, that's why I don't like statistics and data. How many Black men are actually dating on Cupid? And if the Black men that are dating on Cupid are not choosing the dark-skinned sisters, well, then maybe the dark-skinned sisters shouldn't be trying to date on Cupid. I think it's statistics and everything else is all skewed based on who the users are and what the users choose to engage with. We always have to keep that in the forefront of our mind. And again, it's the brainwashing for me. I'm not going to sit here and minimize anybody. I'm from New York, Harlem.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I'm so not surprised. I live in Harlem now, and like not for nothing, I love my people. But people in New York, especially in Harlem, they got this. I'm Black, y'all, and I'm Black, y'all, and I'm blackity black, and I'm black, y'all. Like I'm Black, y'all.
All the way
You're Black B. Yeah, word up, son. Like you ain't blacker than me. You ain't this black. Like yo.
That part, and like to TJ's point.
Okay, Cupid is not just referencing that site though. They studied social media.
Well,
just FYI.
No, I hear you, but I feel like statistics are always biased based on who the core study group is and if they've actually took a grand consensus of everyone. No, it's based off their user group. There's a lot of Black men that don't even get on dating apps because they find social media to be childish and they find dating sites to be not worth their time. This is facts. But to what TJ said about she never seen two dark-skinned people marry each other, I think that's sad. And maybe that's another reason that affects my point of view. My grandmother was dark chocolate, love her to death. My grandfather too. My great-grandmother too. My great-grandfather too. But they are from St. Thomas and St. Croix, but that's a whole another side, but that's my father's side of the family. But I seen Black people loving on each other. I seen light-skinned people loving on each other. I never grew up seeing the dynamics that y'all are talking about. Like literally everything y'all are saying here today is foreign concepts to me. I'm over here, I'm blown. I'm like, really? Even with the going outside, everybody in my family, from the lightest one to the darkest one, go outside, stay outside, don't come in this house till the street lights come on. You keep opening my door, you finna stay in here all day long. So I'm not trying to be funny. I'm literally like from a life experience from a whole generation. And maybe I might be a little bit younger than some of y'all on here, but you know, from how I grew, regardless if we was in New York, if we was down in Abington, Virginia, visiting with our cowboy family, regardless if we was on the islands, I never seen none of this that y'all talking about. And I'm not saying it's a figment of your imagination. What I'm saying is maybe how you were brought up, maybe the neighborhoods that y'all were brought up in contributed to the sociological conditioning that you were victimized under. And I feel bad that y'all had to experience those type of things. This is very informative. And my daughter is dark skinned with the good hair. So even that, it's like, what? Good hair is whatever you choose it to be. It's what we choose to promote. My daughter's hair is about the same texture as Ebony's hair, and she's darker than the unsolicited boys. That's true stories. And her father's Black and I'm Black too. But then again, it also depends on what you consider light skin and what you consider dark skin. Because Shumi, I think you're beautiful, but I don't consider you dark skin. I consider you brown skin. I think you fall around the L in the melanin because I had to do a whole wardrobe change for y'all. We're all Black. We're all Black. So all of this stuff that we buy into is conditioning to keep our community torn apart. When we going to put that down? When we going to move past that and say, you know what? Each and every one of us is valid, and who cares what anybody else says? That's all I be wanting to know.
I just want to.
Can I say this one thing though? Because we keep saying like we're not noticing differences, but I've heard like at least 2 people reference Chris and her hair, right? Like ain't nobody say Tawana got good hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody say that, ain't nobody even say Book of Genesis got no good hair. And see, me personally, I love TJ's texture of her hair. But see, nobody referenced TJ's hair as good hair. So it's interesting how we say that we don't know this
That's a
colorism.
wig, but thank you.
Because ebony
I
hair is
want to bring a
natural.
point up too. I want to bring a
Ebony
point
I
hair
don't
is
up.
know,
not
but I don't
processed.
know. I don't
And
know that it's a
I want to
wig,
bring a point up
TJ.
too.
You know
Being
what I'm
here in New
saying?
York, I've been here over
But go
10
ahead.
years. And like I said, growing up in the South, like where colorism, racism, all of that is more in your face. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's when you get outside of that, you notice it. But other people don't. Here in New York, it's just as racist here as it is anywhere else. But y'all don't recognize that. Like Black men here love anything that is not New York, really. And I'm talking about Black men. Let them have a choice between a Black man, a Black woman, and a Latina, a hot Latina. They gonna get her, honey. And the thing that I learned too, like as soon as a dude hears my Southern accent, oh, it's like, oh my God, like it makes me excited because you ain't from New York, you different.
Exactly.
Like
That's how.
all the dudes I hear here that be
And I got good
Black
hair,
stuff,
Samari. Just
they just as bad as all the other ones out here that want something other than want something light skinned with pretty long hair.
That's how I wound up in
It's here
Arkansas,
too.
girl.
It's here too. So that's why my thing is, I don't see how y'all don't see that. And I think it's more so just because New York is just like, it's such a melting pot. It's like, everybody here. But being someone who from somewhere where like it is not a secret. Your skin color, your shade, your tone means everything. It makes a difference in everything. It makes a difference in everything.
Don't it remind you
like,
of the people who say, I'm sorry, the people who say like they don't see color. Like,
right.
I don't see color. Like,
right.
Oh, everybody's the same. You be like,
right. Like, no, I think a lot of
that's
because
sketchy to me. I don't like, listen, colorism is not going to make me think that I'm prettier than any woman on this panel. Like, for me personally, I feel like we should know, okay, this is how people judge us, but have your own, you have to judge yourself. Like, you have to elevate yourself. You have to make sure that you feel like no matter what you say, right? You try to, like, I can sit on a panel with any woman, Latina, Afro-Latina, beautiful women, ugly women, whoever. I'm not going to feel insecure, but everyone doesn't feel that way. And everyone doesn't look at women the same way. And being aware of that, and then being able to stop it when somebody even try to come at you that way, it's important to be able to address it, to not like, because I'm not one of those Black people that don't see color. Like, I see color. I know color exists. I know it's real. So, I mean, I guess it's the difference between like if you don't see race and race isn't a real thing to you, or if race is a real concept to you, right? And you understand that racism exists, but I'm not going to never let them stop me from getting no bachelor's degree. I ain't going to let nobody stop me from getting into a career that I want to get into. I'm not going to let that prevent me from building my community, but some people do. Yeah. Some people do let that affect.
Can I respond to this? Yeah, so this is quite interesting to me because if we're still talking about the dating, I've heard a mixture of different things. Most men that I know, I won't say 100%, but most men, we just want somebody who looks good, who's nice, all the stuff, and whatever that comes in, that's what we want. To the contrary, though, let me tell you something that I've heard, and I'm from Illinois. Shout out to Chicago. When I was there, a lot of the light-skinned women were thought to be attitudinal because she knows she bad, so she's gonna give you some more attitude because she know she got options. So I think it just really depends on where you're from. And I will even take it a step further to say most of the darker skinned women that I know are actually married. It's an interesting thing. And so like when I'm hearing this, it just making me reflect. Like most of the darker women that I know, are married. And then just what I've seen from traveling from Illinois and living in Indiana and St. Louis for a bit, and Texas and traveling, this is what I see. I think a lot of times what we see again is the marketization of this on social media and on television. We think that the world is one way, when really most men just want a kind woman. Unfortunately, that kindness does get attributed more to the lighter skinned women. It just does in media, but in real life, that's not typically what I see.
Can I bring up a point?
Hold on 1 second. Thank you, Maria. Really, people, for your $9.99 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. All right, go ahead, Shishu.
Something you said, Sir Hale, and this is very telling when you said the guys didn't they
Exactly.
were just afraid to holler at the light skin just because they knew they were bad.
Yeah.
How is it that they knew they were bad?
Because they have options.
Because they have options. Why
That's
is it
right.
they have so many options?
Because they're
Because
oppressed.
that's the one everybody desires.
Duh. Yeah, it just makes.
You may not realize it.
He
but
said it.
y'all been
He
programmed
said
too.
Yeah.
I
He
mean,
said
That's
it.
what we're saying. Like,
He said it, but then just like glanced over it. Like
no,
we
see,
right.
so let me explain
I
this.
heard that.
Like it wasn't just because she was all right. I wasn't trying to go here, but there's an assumption that just because you light skin, you're cute, and that's just not what men were looking for.
Right.
So when they were talking about the light skinned woman, they were talking about actually good looking light skinned women. I wasn't trying to go here, black man, but since we here now, we gotta go over that line.
Go ahead.
The perception wasn't that I just want her. Oh, just because she's light skinned. This particular light skinned women, or the women that I'm talking about, they had decent bodies. The way that they carried themselves, hair was always done, nails was on point. The way that they dressed was really nice. They cared about their teeth and their smile. So that's what I'm talking about. It wasn't just because she woke up in the morning time and she was light skinned that she had options. The same thing when it comes to dark skinned women.
So
a lot of the times,
dark skinned women who did their hair, kept their teeth.
This is what I'm getting ready to say. This is what I'm getting ready to say. So just listen.
I'm like, I know.
Just listen. Just listen for a second.
Hey, Information Man, hold on one second. Sorry. Information Man Show, thank you for your super chat, $4 super chat. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead,
this is what it was with dark skinned women who got up, took care of themselves, looked good. It boiled down to if a woman looked good, she carried herself well, she had options. That's just what it boiled down to. That's what I've seen, and that's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna tell you what it boiled down to.
Go ahead, Genesis first.
Guys who couldn't pull the one that everybody wanted just kind of took what was left over or what they could get access to. That's really what it boiled down to.
Oh,
a lot of times.
Genesis, go ahead, Genesis. Go ahead.
Now, me and Sir Hale from the same place, and in Chicago, my experience was different.
That's right.
It is the light-skinned girls may have been looked at as stuck up, and the dark-skinned girls was looked at as ratchet.
Yeah.
The dark-skinned girls was the ones that they thought was gonna do something strange for some change, and the light-skinned girls weren't.
Now, y'all in the same generation.
And I'm from Chicago too. I'm from Chicago too.
Difference. You're in a different generation.
I'm from Oklahoma, and again, that's the way it was because they, I was stuck up, or so they thought. But that kind of went along with it. But that kind of went with it.
Yeah,
I'm from the South, and I didn't have any of these problems, ladies.
What part of the South you from?
And I was stuck up, I guess.
I was born in North Carolina. I had light skin, dark skin, and it did not matter. I never felt like I was in competition with a light skinned woman. It's just so hard to hear.
Well, I don't feel I'm in competition.
I don't think that they consciously did that. I didn't consciously do it. I didn't consciously do it. I don't think people. I mean, maybe some did. But even my mom taught, me and my mom and my daughter did a show about colorism. My mom is 72. I'm 54.
It's almost like it was supposed to be a thought of mine. Like I should have had those thoughts that I'm missing out because I am so dark. And I never had those thoughts that I was missing out on anything. So it is funny to hear this. I'm kind of like Rob B a little bit on this. It's strange to hear. And I'm darker than all of y'all.
I have dark girlfriends, and they always get what people think is a compliment. They'll say, "You're pretty for a dark skinned girl."
I've heard that. I've heard that. I've heard that compliment.
That's very more articulate for to be a black person.
That don't mean
that would always come from. Listen, that would come from women. It would never come from a man.
I would hear that men would be telling my girlfriends that.
Now I got that from women.
Yeah,
women would say something like that, and it would be almost like they were surprised. But I get that. But I'm just talking about like just regular dating and like the conditioning, like from Alabama. What you're saying, it's like, wow, I'm from the South too, and I just never Either I didn't pay attention. I mean, you hear people say crazy things, but even with the jobs, I never felt like I was like, they chose her because she was lighter. Maybe they did, but I never thought that. That was never my thought.
Good.
Even with the guys, if you like me, I felt like I was your preference. If you didn't, I wouldn't,
Good.
So it's just funny to hear. It's funny to hear this.
Well,
I'm not saying it don't exist.
I think a lot of it's subtle. We don't know that it's happening. I think it's subtle. I mean, we don't know that it's happening. And again, based on the questions that are asked now, I can look back on it and say what I thought it may be. But at the time, I didn't think it was that. It was only when the question was asked and I thought about, well, yeah, I remember they used to say, because I was light-skinned at the time, the light-skinned girls were AKAs. And the dark-skinned girls were deltas. Well, I'm a delta. But again, that was part of it.
Right, but that came from a woman, right?
Men and women.
Can I say this, security boss? I don't know if you read The Guardian. They have a great series called The Shades of Blackness. And it breaks down this colorism thing very differently. I don't know if maybe it's just something that is so systematic that is just normal. But for me, I notice it because it is something that, I want to be conscious of that happens, right? Implicit biases is what they call them, right? And I know that it's implicit biases, and they are hard to read. I'm not saying that it's overt and that it's just going to be in your face, but it just looking at trends and behavior. I know we don't want to, sometimes we don't, because our personal experiences is different from what the larger population experience. Like, I don't hang around a bunch of criminals, but I know that criminals exist in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have criminal friends, but that doesn't mean that there's not criminals in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's just not my circle of people.
Well, I go to more what alters my life.
Yeah.
I go to more how things affect my life.
Right.
I'm more interested in how things affect my life.
Absolutely.
Everybody might jump on me, but I don't know how interested I am in colorism.
Right.
I kind of judge people on their character, and I just can't imagine. We all are different. I just can't imagine thinking, oh gosh, she thinks she's got it going on, or I'm not gonna watch Tawana's channel tonight because she's
too light for me.
I'm colored and talking fast. I just can't imagine me having a fleeting thought. Like, I don't even want to have that type of conditioning that I would judge any one of you ladies for anything you say based on your skin color. I just.
Now I have a question specifically for Shushu here for a second, but before we do that, I want to thank Robbie again for another $10 super chat. Appreciate that, Robbie. Red Lipstick Vibes, thank you for the $6 super chat. She said, great conversation, loving all the different viewpoints. And then the real Erica, what's going on, girl? Good to see you here. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate it. So I want to ask a question to Shushu real quick.
Can I ask one question real quick before you answer that?
Yeah. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I want to clear up something about this black doll test, because I see that's being used as a point of reference when we're talking about
It's in the chat a lot.
Colorism. I want y'all to understand, when you watch the black doll test is not taking two shades of black and saying, hey, which one is better? The black doll test is taking a black doll and holding it up against a white doll and saying which one is better, which is kind of like Pavlov's dogs. It's feeding into the societal conditioning, because when we have in talks about colorism, that gives reference as if being light skin is synonymous with being white, and it's not. Just saying real quick. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay. Now I want to say this as well.
I think it's more about the preference of choosing white over dark skin. It's not about
but it's not about
light
skin black person.
It's not about the variations of skin tone amongst black people. It's about the fact that most children will choose whiteness over darkness. So it's like, why?
But what does that have to do with the color conversation?
People attribute that to the fact that maybe people, their colorism is a real thing, right?
But
like
see, that's how
people choose preferences and beauty standards based on skin tone, even implicitly, even as a kid, even as a child.
But that's how people have a tendency to construe data however they want to and apply it incorrectly to conversations.
I think
We're talking about race, because I don't believe in race either, because the reality is the science proves race is not real. It's a social construct.
It's a social construct. Yeah.
So that is a study that deals with racism as a preference between two opposing races. And we internalize that and we use that as a justification for colorism, which deals with the different shades and hues that the gamete square produces from African American people. And the gag is, shh, shh, don't tell nobody. Caucasians and the absence of melanin is actually a genetic anomaly, because the oldest living bones were found in Africa and they come from high melanin. Shh, don't tell nobody though. Shh, I'm be quiet.
But we could tell ourselves that, but tell the world that, because they don't care. Beauty standards is based on European features. I mean, it's not. I mean, even if you want to elevate, you can elevate your blackness all you want, and we can be like, "Oh, we so great and we beautiful." And
based on European?
Yeah, it is. You can look at universal.
Are you sure,
standards.
Or is
universal beauty standards are based on European features? Yes.
Are you sure?
Symmetry. Yes.
So, are you saying your face is not symmetrical as a African American?
I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. I could care less.
So
I could care less who. I mean, I know somebody else. Like, I don't need nobody else to validate that for me. So what I'm telling you is, I'm not going to ignore the larger world and population and universal beauty standards and things.
What I'm telling you is,
I mean, I understand that I have my own personal beliefs about it, because I do, but
I don't have personal beliefs. European beauty standards is actually based in monarch programming. And again, a lot of people are completely unaware of monarch programming and what they did to African American people with psychedelic drugs and how that goes down. But maybe one day I'll get off on a topic about it, because it's very interesting how many African American people have no clue. And that is actually what shapes the brainwashing that we're all subjugated under in today's society. You know, that subliminal messaging that they used to do in the movies and the television. You know, when you see films spliced together and they have that 0.2 seconds, hate Black people, KKK. You know what I'm saying? It's a subconscious thing, but I get it.
It's all that. I don't think it's all that. I think sometimes we are our own worst enemy, because women of other races are looked at as more docile than Black women. And I think that they think that lighter skinned women are closer to the skin complexion of those other women, and they may be a little bit more feminine than the darker hues. And sometimes we prove that to be true.
I want to ask this question to Shusha real quick, since she's in the business, in the entertainment business. Why is it that, because we talk about self-hate, we've talked about that, we've mentioned that, but I want to ask you this question directly. In the business, I've seen people like Serena Williams, right? I've seen people, I talked to security boss today about, she's on 12 Years Slave. What's her name? Lapita. Right? I've seen that she was on a cover of a magazine. I was telling security boss about this today when we were on the phone, and she said that she sued this company for lightening her skin on the cover. Right now, we know she's very dark, right? And so they lighten her up probably to your skin color a little bit, right? But she sued them for that because she loves her Blackness. But I'm talking about like Serena Williams and these other Black women, Kim. Lil Kim, I'm trying to think of more that have went and bleached their skin, and they're millionaires. They got paid off of their dark skin. You know, Serena Williams been whooping people for years, right? And all of a sudden you see a picture of her looking like she looked like almost like one of the white chicks.
Yeah.
You know, and then you see all these. So what is it that's making these women? Do you think that's a part of the whole colorism thing or the brainwashing thing or whatever? Like everything that we've been saying so far. I want to hear from you first. What do you think that is that's making women that have status, have money, to go and bleach their skin to be lighter?
Well, if you have a certain look, you're gonna go farther. And once you get to a certain point, like, yeah, you can get to a certain point being brown skin, dark skin, whatever. You're gonna have those people who tell you, hey, look, if you get a nose job, you might be able to go further. Like back in the day, like in the 90s, like they were encouraging everybody to get boob jobs and stuff like that. Oh, because you go further in your career, get this or get that, and then you'll go further in your career. If you're lighter skinned, you're lighter complected, you'll go farther in your career. And when you go to the networking parties, when you go to these rap parties and stuff like that, you see like the women that's in the room and like they're lighter than you, like, or like the women whose careers take off, like, and so it's a lot of pressure. I say that it is a lot of pressure.
Wow. Yeah, because I saw that picture of Serena, I couldn't believe it. I really didn't. I was in awe. I was like, what in the hell is she like? That was ridiculous. But my question is the one I've been wanting to ask. They said darker skinned women are more aggressive. Darker skinned women. I also talked to a security boss about this today. We both heard this on a panel where a man said that dark skinned women are more aggressive. What are your thoughts on that? We'll start with you. Let's see. I don't know where to start because it's gonna get good. CJ Randolph, we'll go with you first, and then the Blooming Ebony afterwards. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think that's true, but I'm sure someone that's more knowledgeable than myself will be able to tell me the stereotype of the sapphire. And the sapphire was generally a reference to a darker skinned woman who was, I guess be considered more assertive or more aggressive. I don't necessarily think that's true because many fair skinned women are quite pieces of work, but but that stereotype does exist. Is it founded? I don't think so. But again, I think it goes to a lot of the things that are attributed to darker hues in media, or before I get lambasted. I'm not here for that. So in media, I think it's prevalent. Is it justified? Not necessarily. I mean, no, it's not. But does it happen? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the media has a lot to do with it. Like Sir Hill said earlier, when you had Aunt V of the first one, she was, even when she went did her most famous scene when she was in there doing all the dancing at the little, you remember, and she snapped at the girls or whatever. And when you got the new Aunt V, she was more relaxed, she was more passive, she was, like it was just, I think they created that. But I'll say this before we move forward. I want to thank Friendsgiving for that $20 super chat. Appreciate you. I thank y'all for being here. If you're just getting here, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Also, everybody on this platform tonight they all are great in their own way, and they have their own platform. So please, guys, mods, if you can go ahead and put Sir Hill in there. Sir Hill Speaks, Security Boss, Robbie Privilege, Chris the Blooming Ebony, TJ, Tawana G, the Book of Genesis, and we're gonna make sure we keep watch on Shushu, because she's killing the game in New York right now in the acting scene. So again, when it comes to being more aggressive, I want to ask Security Boss, you saw it. I'm gonna bounce up to you for a second. You saw it. I saw it on the panel with the black man saying this. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't think aggressiveness has a shade. I think any woman could be aggressive and angry at any given moment. He just happened to be dealing with one that was a little darker that happened to be aggressive on that day, but he's dealt with one before that was lighter and same thing. So I don't think it matters. I think that's just, he was just being, a little rude.
Yeah. So Chris, the Blooming Ebony, what are your thoughts?
I rarely hear dark-skinned women are more aggressive. I typically hear Black American women are more aggressive. And I think that could stem from plenty of different things. I think aggressiveness, typically what they're saying is more so like that strong-minded, like general, like independent woman, right? It's just a bit harder to get her to get under their program, and I think that has plenty to do with not seeing a well-balanced family at home. With the single motherhood rate being so high in our community, I think it can be common. I can see some reason why they would say that and why those experiences may be more common, but I don't typically hear it have to do with shade, but if I do hear it, it's typically associated with Black American women being more aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Tawana?
Listen, okay, so here's the thing. Yes, I've heard that absolutely. It's something that I've heard. I'm from Chicago, just like everybody, everybody I guess on this panel, and OG Patrice in the chat. So we all aggressive here, don't get me wrong, but it was always like this stereotype that the darker one would beat you down. You know what I'm saying? It was always that stereotype, and people was a little bit more afraid the darker you were, which is just insane. And I know it comes from like how we're portrayed on the media, right? But it is just this stereotype of Black women in general.
Yeah.
People think that Black women are more aggressive. They tend to look at the darker you are as you being more aggressive. And so it is just innate. I think that I don't care about how they define femininity. I have no interest in being like white women in my femininity, and I could care less about somebody saying I'm not feminine because I don't act like that type of woman. But some women want to, they define femininity based on white women standards of feminine. You got to be, this dainty woman who just can't tolerate whatever. I'm not like that, but I still consider myself a feminine woman. So I think that when you're vocal, when you have a brain, when you're outspoken, you could be looked at as more aggressive, when really I will never fight. I don't fight nobody, so I'm not about to do that. So it's just sometimes people mistake you being, vocal, or Black women being more vocal, some characteristics that we tend to have. And then some women help perpetuate those stereotypes about Black women, and they keep it going. So it just happens. But I definitely have heard that, I've heard that the more darker you are, the more aggressive. I think it's ridiculous. It hasn't materialized in my real life. I've seen darker women get beat up. I've seen lighter women I've seen it all over the globe. I mean, it just depends on how tough you are and where you came from. I don't see
Tawana,
that.
do you think that Black women are aggressive?
No, I don't. I mean, do I think that Black women are aggressive?
Do you think most Black women are aggressive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Sir Hill wanted to respond to Tawana.
Yeah, I do. Right, go ahead. I tend
So,
to believe that one.
Let's be honest.
Yep.
Let's take a minute and let's just be honest. A lot of the stuff
So
that
you're
we
saying
see
I'm not
portrayed.
being honest, because I don't know if are you referring to me, or you was just talking in general? Because I feel like I'm being honest, so I don't know if you saying that I'm not being honest. That's
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. So us in general, let's be honest.
okay.
A lot of the stuff that we see, it ain't just because somebody made it up. In our community, a lot of our women are aggressive. That's just what it is. And I find it very interesting that as soon as we start talking about this, we start talking about white people and about how docile they are. And I don't, when I'm vocal, then I got to be like a white woman. No, sometimes you just don't know when to be silent and listen. And it's always this need to talk and say your last word and so on. But that's not a white woman or a Black woman. That's really an American culture kind of thing. And I think we got to be honest about that. Very rarely will you've never heard a man say, you know what, I can't be with this woman because she's just too silent and she listens too well. And you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, she just so understands. You've never heard that before. You have heard a man say, you know what, she's real mouthy. I mean, she's a little too aggressive in her speech, not even in terms of her physicality, but in terms of the damage she does with her mouth. So we got to be honest about this. Being a white woman, that doesn't mean she's docile. So let's keep that part out. This is a deal with with a lot of our Black women. A lot of us were raised with strong Black women. Speak your mind. And so we have a culture where we know how to speak well, but our listening skills are not on par with how well we speak. And so a lot of our women are not necessarily aggressive physically. They can be muffy you in the head and stuff. But a lot of times our women are aggressive in terms of the way that they communicate. And I think we got to be honest about that.
All right. Can I respond?
You sure can. Before you do, Mandrea, your brother, her brother's in the chat.
before you, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I want to thank Mandrea for that $10 super chat. Mandrea, thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, Tawana, before you respond, you did. We make sure I heard this right. Sir Hale is saying you said white women. I just heard you say, and you might have said white women too, but I heard you mention feminine women. You know, like this. When you say that, are you speaking of a white woman, or are you just saying women, black women, or any woman that may be feminine?
Thank you for asking that, Clarity. What I said was that a lot of times femininity is based on white women's standards of femininity. We don't ever look at a black woman and say, okay, you know, this black woman, she has these characteristics. These are also considered feminine. We base it on white American standards of femininity. When I believe that lots of black women are feminine and don't have to be exactly like white women to exemplify femininity, nor do I care about what a man thinks femininity is. Like, I could care less, because first of all, I don't take femininity advice from men. So if you want to, that's fine. Women can do whatever they want to do. I choose not to. I listen to the women around me, and I've watched women in my life, and I pretty much pick up my cues from women in my life. Okay. It's worked for me so far. However, you know, women learn from whomever you want to learn from. I could care less. But I just wanted to just speak on, you know, you specifically referencing that, you know, we need to learn how to listen and whatever, blah, 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 whatever else you say. I don't know. You said some stuff like that, which I really think that we need to put context in place.
Don't take a turn.
Yeah, okay. We can take a turn, because I'm ready to take that damn turn with you.
Yeah, no, I got the steering wheel, and I think I'm ready for this.
Can I ask this other question?
Context. I don't need to listen to no man on this panel. You ain't my man, and I'm here to listen to you. Okay.
Well, here we go.
And none of us don't need to listen to
her
you.
hell been off a little bit this week. You're gonna get a different version tonight.
Okay. This is supposed to be ladies' night.
Tawana, can I ask a question before it takes a turn so I can get this question? I got a feeling I'm not gonna be able. I got a feeling I'm not gonna be able. Okay, so before, because it sounds like you're describing at least two different types of femininity. Is that real?
You talking to me, or you talking to someone?
Oh no, Tawana, there was a question. Okay. It sounds like you were describing at least two types. Is that a real thing?
What you mean? Is that a real thing? What is a real thing? I'm trying to figure out which one.
It sounds like you were describing at least two different types of femininity. You said
that it's only one type of femininity. Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking questions.
Okay, I think that there's multiple. Yeah, I think there's different types of femininity. I don't think that every one person fits into one. Like, my grandmother didn't like to wear dresses, but she was very nurturing. She was very loving. She had a lot of feminine qualities, but she would not wear a dress. She only wore pants, right? So some people would think that's masculine, but she wasn't masculine. So what I'm saying is that there's different femininity and different ways that women can behave. And sometimes we put ourselves in like a little bubble and say, okay, you have to be this one way in order to be feminine. And I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. And I do think that femininity can look different for different women. Yeah.
Okay, so you're basing it on the way they look. I thought it was okay. I got you.
No, I'm not basing it on the way they look. Characteristics. I just gave an example of how my grandmother didn't wear dresses, and she wasn't a person to get her hair done. She never got her nails done. She just didn't believe in doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, but that's an outer appearance, but that wouldn't change who she was.
Okay, but what I'm saying, some women believe that those things make you feminine as well, right? Those characteristics or how you present yourself. Some people believe that also makes you feminine. So I was explaining that I don't necessarily feel that those are the only characteristics. Not even that it was the only. I mean, there is other, like I said, nurturing, people who are nurturing, agreeable, whatever, right? There's other characteristics that make you feminine that don't necessarily have to do with your outward appearance. But, I was just giving my perception of that.
I don't think getting your nails and your hair done would be anything related to being feminine. I mean, there may be things you do to make yourself look better, but I don't think that's what men or women look for when they say this woman has feminine traits. I don't think that's what people look for. Now, I could be wrong. There are other ladies.
Yeah, I do think that's wrong for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I know that men judge women who, I mean, even if you a tomboys don't get their nails, you know, like some women who say they tomboys, for instance, they might not get their nails done, right? Or they might dress in like joggers, or they might, but is that woman less feminine because she doesn't like to do those things? Some people say that. Some people think that. And yeah, you might not think that as a woman. You may be thinking like, oh no, I mean, it's based on her characteristics, but men look at her initially and won't think that she's very feminine because she doesn't dress a certain way. She doesn't present a certain way. I mean,
but Tawana, what do you think
happens? That's what happens. So
I think most men like natural women that don't do all those. Well, I don't know. Go ahead with your question for Sir Hill. I hope I didn't derail it too much. Go ahead.
Can I ask
You know
a
what?
question?
You know, yeah, I just want to respond really quickly.
real
And
world.
listen, Tawana. So I'll tell you what we'll do, because like there's an energy that I sense when we're talking to people. So what I want to do, I want you to know I respect you and what you have to say. So let me rebalance and say that what we're talking about in these situations that I see a lot of times is a lot of women are aggressive, and I think that when we start trying to put femininity in different brackets and say when men want this kind of femininity, for the most part, for most men, are some simple things. It doesn't have anything to do necessarily with how you look or dress. It really is about who you are. It's the spirit you have. It's the way you talk, the ability to listen, the softness that you have. And for most men, regardless of culture, most men want that level of femininity. So I just want to put that out there.
All right. Well, I mean,
Okay.
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 I
know, man.
After the
TJ, go ahead,
Bloom and
TJ.
Ebony.
Oh, go ahead. After Genesis, then TJ. Go ahead, Genesis.
Actually, Bloom and Ebony was first.
Blooming, yeah, go ahead, Blooming. I'm sorry, Ann.
I have a question. Miss
Mhm.
Tawana, you said white women standards of femininity. What
Yeah.
what are those standards?
Dainty, you know, maybe I don't know, just like maybe dependent, maybe a little bit. I don't really have all of the characteristics, but just, you know, whatever, like those things, you know, I'm being put on the spot a little bit, so I can't think of all the characteristics. But yeah, like just the dainty, like, oh, I don't know. Some people call Marilyn Monroe super feminine, right? Like I've heard men say like she's like the epitome of femininity. I've heard men say, you know, describe some white women. I don't know. I can't think of another one. But that was one that I heard recently where they were like, oh, when I think of femininity, I think of her, right? I'm like, okay.
That was because her sexuality was overwhelming.
That's interesting.
She
I mean, she was
manipulate them.
She
with
was mild.
her.
She was, you know, agreeable. She was.
I didn't think she was. You thought she was dependable. You thought she depended. You know, a dependent. I mean, you associated femininity with being dependent.
Well, I didn't say that Marilyn Monroe was feminine. The man who was calling in said that, you know, so his ideas of her, I don't follow her. So, I mean, I didn't, you know, I'm not a fan of her. So I don't know exactly how she was. I just know that she eventually committed suicide.
But do you think that being feminine is a dependent quality?
I think that sometimes men look at it like you're dependent. You have to be dependent on them in order to be feminine. Like you can't have your own mind or independent thinking. Yeah.
Well, there's a happy medium, but dependency is a major factor in femininity, because femininity is simply just hormones. You know, the female hormone is estrogen, the male hormone is testosterone, and a big portion of estrogen and producing estrogen is that you feel safe and secure and that you're able to depend on somebody else. Testosterone, when you are independent, when you are able to survive and have that level of survival, that's what's producing those accomplishments, all of that, that's boosting testosterone. It's not that you don't have a mind of your own when you are dependent, which is what we typically see from the 1950s, right? Where the legal system was kind of making women a bit more silent, but that level of dependency is a major factor in a woman's ability to be feminine, having that masculine structure and being reliant on that so you can relax a bit more. Like that is, it's not a white standard. It's a major standard, and being comfortable being dependent on a man, trusting that man, all of those things fall under being dependent, you know, just depending on him. So
Oh,
the issue I see often is that misconception where dependency is this negative thing that women cannot do. There is a happy medium, and it is necessary to an extent. And it's not a white standard. It's something that women need to it's something that we need to understand is almost necessary if you want to live a more feminine lifestyle.
it's definitely a white standard because Black women have historically
black woman
have,
in the building.
okay,
Black
yeah,
woman in the building. That's not true.
independent.
to mindset.
It's not true. Black woman in
They
the
have
building.
been unable to be independent for the most part. They have had to work. They've had to contribute. Okay, so
No, that's
in my opinion, and we can move on because I guess you guys can define femininity the way that you feel is necessary. I don't really question my femininity because I mean I am, you know, I'm definitely a feminine woman. But I will say this, that I have, you know, my grandmother was married for 40 years. My aunt was married for 50. My husband's parents is married for 50. So like when I see women who are clearly contributing to their home, able to take care of their kids, able to manage, able to do all these other things. They don't have to be pretty. They don't have to present as weak in order to be seen as feminine. I think that I have my own perceptions. I have my own perceptions of what it is. And I think that some people project other. And I mean, this show ain't even about femininity. So why would you want to?
You saying that?
I don't care about
weak. You just said weak. You said weak.
Yeah.
Tawana, I just want to say
I
something.
didn't call y'all weak. I'm talking about some of the, especially Marilyn Monroe. Like for me,
no, you
Marilyn Monroe was actually quite strong.
Well, I don't see
ballsy.
her that way. I don't see her that way. I definitely don't see her as the epitome of femininity. And if men are actually expecting women to behave like that, then they are insane. Because I don't want to be mentally ill to the point where I want to commit suicide. So therefore,
Okay.
I don't want to compare myself to a woman like that. So no, I would never use her as a marker of status. Like that's ridiculous.
But Tawana, you are talking about us because we consider. I don't know Raw B that I don't know everybody, but I know myself and Bloom and Ebony consider ourselves feminine women. And as far as our mental capacity and our weakness, it doesn't exist. So you are basically saying that we're weak because we carry ourselves in our feminine.
Well, I didn't say that, but if you want to assume that, that's fine. I'm talking about, you asked me specifically about my ideas and perceptions of it based on, you know, what I've heard or who I'm comparing to. I talked about Marilyn Monroe. If you connect with her, then I guess.
No. I thought I just heard you say
it's not even about connecting with her. It's about the definition of femininity. Femininity is defined as.
I thought you said something else. Then I thought you were just talking. I'm sorry, Robbie. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I apologize, unsolicited voice. I can't. Femininity is defined in Merriam-Webster's as the quality or nature of the female sex, the quality, state, or degree of being feminine or womanly. Feminine is defined as having quality or an appearance traditionally associated with women. So, like to sit there and say that it is something that you see in white women, like I'm not even trying to come at you, sis. I think you're a beautiful girl, but it's like it speaks to mindset. We got to stop comparing ourselves to white people. I don't give a fuck about no white people that have castigated us for almost half of a millennia. When we gonna stop comparing ourselves to them?
Myself to a white woman. I don't understand.
You did?
Like I didn't
the
compare
myself to femininity is white women. You said that anything outside of that
a lot of. Oh God. Okay. I said that the femininity standard is often based on white women, right? That's what I said. Yeah. I didn't say that I felt that way. I said that's how feminism is defined. Femininity is defined.
Yes.
Okay. What I did do though was give examples of women, like the qualities of women in my life who I consider feminine, who I consider an example to me, and how I take examples. So what, and they were all Black women, right? These were all Black women that I take my femininity from, and that I don't need to compare myself to any white American standard of femininity. And I don't need to appear that way in order to be seen as feminine. And if that's how other women want to be seen, that's fine. But that's not what I describe as feminine. And I have never, ever in my life, except in these YouTube spaces, had people say that certain characteristics are not feminine. Like, I've never had no man be like, you masculine. Like, that's only in these damn YouTube spaces. This is not real life. This is not real life. I'm just saying, this is not real life.
I think the issue was, though, what you described as being white standards of femininity are femininity.
Okay, but in my opinion, it's white standards. So we can disagree. If you think it's not, fine. I don't really care. I think that that's fine. You should define femininity the way you feel is comfortable. She just read the Webster definition that said qualities of women. So I can associate it with qualities of women that I am familiar with. And you can just associate femininity with whatever definition you feel it meets.
It's not my feeling, though. I'm just saying what I'm feeling. This is research based.
I don't.
It's not my feeling.
I have research
based on psychologists and how they define
Yeah.
hormones and how that's directly linked to femininity. Sorry, Miss TJ. I think you want to.
Yeah, well, I know that there's also trans women who think they're feminine. There's other women who, I mean, there's all these different types of femininity that exist, but I have my own, just like you do too, right? So I listen to, I read other literature that defines femininity different than the way you define femininity.
So let's get TJ in here, because TJ has a perspective as well. TJ, what do you got for us, honey?
TJ.
She's been drinking wine and she's been, been relaxed. And I want to see her perspective. I see that glass over there, girl. Sip, sip, sip. Go ahead.
Go ahead, TJ.
As my mother used to say, I'm mellow right now.
Okay.
I'm mellow. I need to understand a couple of things, though. What I want to understand is the women that are on this panel, we are bringing our own perspectives based on our knowledge and experience. Am I right? And the reason why I'm asking this is because am I supposed to answer questions based on what people are thinking I'm supposed to say, based on my understanding of the question?
Thank you, TJ.
Or am I saying it based on my own understanding and experience? Because when you clarify that for me, that lets me know if I'm in the right place.
If it's something that can be defined.
Because, well, no. I'm talking about in general. I want to know if the questions that are being asked, am I to answer them based on my understanding of the question, based on my experience and my knowledge in my 54 years, or am I supposed to give the answer that people think I'm supposed to give, because that will square me away as to how I should proceed?
Well, it's two answers to that. If there is something, like for instance, I don't relate to so much as the colorism. I accept what you all are saying. I take it in and I use it going forward. So based on my experiences, I don't have an understanding of it, but you all help me with it. Not saying that I deny it in any way, but based on femininity, there's a definition for femininity, and it's not, that's just what it is. It's defined a certain way. So when I ask the question, and just for an example, are there two types of femininity? That would be a surprise to me, because I only know femininity to be defined one way.
So basically, no, TJ, you got to answer it the way they want you to.
No, I asked the question.
I think that you're answering the question, because I feel like we should. I think we should move on. I think we should move on because colorism is the topic. However, whatever I think about femininity has nothing to do with the way you behave and how you, maybe that's worked for you in your life, and that's great. I don't feel the need to connect with that in order for people to feel that I'm feminine. So if that's how y'all feel, that's how y'all feel, and that's fine.
And I'm not even talking about this question specifically. I'm talking about in general, because again, I understand and appreciate and value the fact that we're going to have different perspectives based on our education, our experience and the amount of time we've been on this earth. I get that. But what I need to understand is what is expected of me. Therefore, I will know how to answer the question.
Ma'am, but
That's
I
all I'm
answered the
asking.
question, ma'am, but I answered the question and you didn't like my answer and you got with the head bobbing and all of this and all of that. So am I
Oh yeah, I do
allowed
all
to
of
answer
that.
the question
I
the
do
way
it
that you
all.
want somebody to answer? So I mean, I'm just saying it's a little
But I didn't tell you
hypocritical
not to
at this
answer it
stage
though.
of the
I
game.
mean, again,
But
you're absolutely right.
I think
but
Book of Genesis
your response to what I said was with all of this. Like, so do
It
you
sure
not
was.
if you're gonna respond that way, then when people respond that way, you gotta eat that.
I don't
You
have a
gotta
problem
take that
with me.
on the chin.
I want to
You gotta
know.
take it on the chin.
I want to know. I don't have a problem. I want to know.
We match
ahead of time,
energies.
so I'll
We
know how to
match energies.
proceed.
We just having a
Book of
conversation.
Genesis.
Absolutely. I ain't got no problem with it.
Right. I think Book of
All the
Genesis.
oxygen.
Book of Genesis been trying to talk
Book of
for like
Genesis, go ahead,
30
baby.
minutes, y'all.
Yeah, Book of Genesis. Go ahead, sweetheart. Hey,
So
guys,
I'm
listen,
gonna
listen.
go back to the
Right.
original question that was
Right.
asked
'Cause it went,
about
it went.
the darker skinned
Thank
women
you, ma'am.
being more
Thank you, ma'am.
aggressive, and I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. But in my experience, the darker skinned women are more aggressive. As I don't know what color I'm considered now, but you know,
Beige.
when I was lighter, they want to fight you because you light.
call her
First thing
beige?
they want to do is scratch up your face and pull your hair and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they like to tussle back then, and as a light-skinned woman, that put us on the defense. Luckily, during that time, I was a tomboy, so I'm a tussle with you, sis. And then I'm gonna go back to my feminine energy when I need to go to a man. And I think that sometimes, as Black women, I see that also. I do see the aggression. I mean, and it's just sad to say that when I see a darker skinned woman, like I'm gonna use Security Boss as an example, because in the YouTube, that's who she's been in the same circles I've been running around in. But when I look at her and I see that she's a darker skinned woman, she's a beautiful woman, and I always see her in her feminine energy. That's not a regular occurrence for me as a Black woman. She's in the minority of what I have seen from darker skinned women.
Well, can I say this? I think when it comes to like darker skinned women, that's more of a stereotype that was perpetuated more so by media. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen women of all races like cut up.
True. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience.
Right. And when you say that, like when I was in school, like when I was in high school and stuff like that, most of the dark skinned girls that cut up like that's because they was from the projects. Like not
and I do think that socio.
So a lot of it is like social class, but for the most part, like I think a lot of that just goes back to a stereotype that the media put up there that's just dark skinned women are more aggressive and got attitudes and stuff like that. Because I've seen spiciness from women of all races, and maybe like Sariel said, maybe that's an American thing. I don't know, but the bottom line is that's not true. All women have their ways, but and I might get pushback for this. I do think there is a bit more aggressiveness from us, though. I mean, it's just bottom line is there is a bit more. I can remember being in high school, like my senior year. Seniors like could drive, and like we had parking spaces or whatever, and we had assigned parking spaces. And I pulled up to school one day and somebody parked in my space. And I was like, yo, like, whose car is this? And the dude who parked next to me, he was a white boy. He was like, yo, I saw the dude when he pulled up in your space. And I told him already, hey, it's a Black girl that parks there and she's going to whoop your ass. I was like, wait, first of all, where did you get that kind of aggressiveness from me, though? You know what I mean? Because I've never been aggressive like that to him. So he just automatically assumed as I was a Black chick, I was gonna be ready to fight as soon as I saw it. You know what I mean? Like which I didn't. I just, but that just threw me off. I was like, wow, you really think I'm just so like throw down, huh? Like, but whatever. But so my point is, a lot of that is just stereotypes that have been pumped out there, and but for the most part too, we play a role in that.
And
a lot of times we are.
The stereotype rings true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just is what it is based on what my experience has been.
Yeah.
That stereotype rings true. Now, I think there are a lot of other factors that contribute to that.
Yeah.
Your socioeconomic status matters. If they from the
What
hood,
high school you
doesn't
go
matter
to?
what shade they are.
What high school you go to? Because you saw all the dark girls beating up the light skinned girls.
Well, I'll tell you in the back chat.
Okay.
I'm
just curious.
I will say this. As I was growing up, I'm sorry, security, I saw you cook in just a second. When I was growing up in school, there was a group of dark-skinned girls, and their main target was to beat the hell out of the yellow-skinned girl, the light-skinned girl. That's all they did.
Mm-hmm.
You come to school cute and think you cute and you yellow skin, they're gonna beat your ass.
You exposing some stuff today. You better stop it.
And so and the dark skinned girls, and I'm telling you, we used to have this little walkway where you walk out of the cafeteria through the little walkway, and they used to stand on both sides of that walkway. And those yellow skinned girls used to come in with their book bags on, they'd be walking down there, and all you hear is, they beat the hell out of them. Just for no reason. Just beat the hell out of them, and they targeted them, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
like you used to see it every day, and then after a while, you never saw yellow skinned girls walking out that cafeteria. Some of them didn't even eat. They just went the other way because they knew if we go through that door, it's about to go down.
That's not even funny.
So TJ, will you share what you were going to share, please?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
TJ,
I already did.
Oh,
you did? You sure?
Yeah, pretty sure I did.
Can you do it again? Because I missed it. I'm sorry. Maybe don't. Okay.
Frankly, I forgot. So whatever I said is what I said.
Okay, guys. So
whatever I said is what I said. But
I missed it though.
Hey,
so listen, we got a caller calling.
Oh wait, you didn't even answer me. You didn't let me answer the question because I was going to tell you.
Go ahead.
That's not true because I'm considered light skinned, and I tell you what, I'm aggressive. I'm the quiet storm. I'm that one that's going to sit back in the cut until I've had absolutely enough, and then I'm going off. I'm the one people never see coming, but then when it gets popping, it be all on the day. So I'm just tell you that stereotype don't hold true with me nor my group of friends, and it's always been that way.
Real and I would concur.
I think you're light
because my thing is don't let the smooth taste fool you.
What? Wait a minute. What?
I mean, as far as light skin, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm just talking about in general. I mean, I was like that too in school. Like, don't let the smooth taste fool you.
I know. That's right. I'm talking from the suburbs, baby, from the good old nice upper crust areas of the New York, honey. And people always used to try it with me. And then, I'd be like, oh, word. I never did a whole bunch of talking. I always was on the pop off. Mm-hmm. So that dark skin thing, that's not true.
Right, and so I wasn't laughing at the fact of anything that somebody dealt with. I'm laughing at
I'm not dark skinned.
And Auntie TJ's facial expressions are hilarious.
Yep.
I don't consider myself like
hilarious. So
I also told y'all earlier in the show I got on my filter set so that I look darker. Because if I put my lighting exactly how it's supposed to be, I'd be up on here looking like Casper. But
Okay. Oh, we got a caller, guys. I don't really want to bring him up because I stole his sister from him today. But I'm gonna bring up our first one. We're gonna take a few and then we'll be done. So, Mandrell, hi.
Yeah.
Let me put you by your sister. Put you by your sister. Hold on a second. Okay, there you go.
Look,
ask your question,
boss. What's with the face? Come on.
Oh no, it was just I'm about ready to go. But
we're about to be done. We'll take 5 calls.
Your sister is lovely. I would have never known.
Don't know how to take that, but I'll assume it was a compliment.
I'm just kidding, man. No, just kidding. No.
Wait, what sorority did you join? Security boss?
None.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
I could have sworn you were a Zeta.
no.
This conversation went from
My husband's a Sigma. See, that's what.
there you go. That's what it was.
Oh,
That's
my frat brother.
Yeah.
Who said that?
My sister.
Yeah, my husband is a Sigma.
Yeah.
He's right
Yeah.
here. He just heard you. So.
All right. So, Mandra, what's the question?
First of
Mandra?
all, this whole conversation went from this. Y'all was sitting in this room here behind me, right? And this is where you ended up in a boxing ring. I was like, wow.
You was working on that?
I'm seeing watching this. I'm like, wow.
How did we get to the boxing ring? What are you talking about?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure that out too. I'm like, Auntie TJ sitting there with black man. This is right. Her facial expressions are priceless.
Oh, man.
Right.
Priceless. All right, so Mandra,
oh my God. And then security boss started in with it too, like this, like.
So, Mandra, what's your question for the panel, man?
I don't box. I don't box.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Mandra.
Yeah, also, Twana, love you.
Thank you.
I
don't box, but I did
always.
get made up on, that's okay though. It's
Gotcha.
okay. It's okay.
Robbie, you girl, as always. But
You know what it gives, spicy.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Don't get
my question about the colorism, because I've experienced it too, because I was like, and my sister's right. Our grandfather did. No, you can't go out in the sun because then you get black.
You get black.
It's like, right. But here's the thing: he will always let her go into his vegetable garden, and none of the rest of the grandkids. He was her favorite, though.
Yeah.
He made no bones about it. Didn't care who knew. She was his favorite grandchild out of all of us. But my question is to the lighter skinned women and to the darker skinned women. Now, colorism does have a place because I've actually used it to my advantage, especially when I was in the military. If you are light skinned and you're articulate, you're competent, generals would look at you differently. They would at least hear what you had to say. And I've been in the rooms with major and lieutenant generals and had to give security briefings and debriefings, you know what I mean? And they sit there full attention, asking questions the whole nine. Dark skinned fella.
But Mandra,
that's happening on the desk and everything. So my question is, how did you light-skinned women, have you light-skinned women ever used that to your advantage? And the darker skinned women, when you saw light-skinned women using this to your advantage, how did that make you feel?
But Mandra, you just said competent and articulate.
Yeah.
You added that to the light skin. So how?
Yeah, but the darker skinned guys are just as competent as I am. I wasn't doing nothing they couldn't do.
In the workplace in corporate America, if you're a light-skinned Black person, they look at you as less threatening.
Oh,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I've heard of them because I've been told by Major General Auntie TJ, shaking my hand. Yeah, you're a credit to your people, son.
I don't think I'm light skinned. I don't think I'm light skinned. I don't know. Light skin to me is lighter than this. Like you are light skinned. Right?
I think you might be light skinned, Tawada.
I don't think like nobody has ever called me that in my life. They say I'm caramel. I'm lighter than some people, but light skin, like I'm not a red bone, is what they would call it in Chicago. They would never call me that. Ever.
Okay, so where does this colorism thing stop then? What is light? Is it just light, dark, caramel, or I mean, how do we know what's?
I mean, Black Man Unfiltered. Do you think I'm light? Like, if you saw me, would you? That would be how y'all would describe me. I'm just saying, like, just before this conversation, because I feel like no, I don't know too many women except like maybe Book of Genesis.
Right. From a man's perspective, if I saw you and Genesis walking down the street, I'd say, okay, yeah, she's kind of caramel color. Exactly. Genesis is light skinned. So that's just my opinion.
Genesis is like
I'm gonna have to take y'all back. I'm gonna take y'all back to this.
Wait a minute. So when we doing colorism, we going on.
No, girl, I ain't the same color. You lighted at me.
I got it. But to what? Here's my question again.
Hold on, security boss has some. Go ahead, security boss.
I'm just wondering. So when we're doing colorism, it's the shade, but wouldn't you all still be considered light and then myself dark? Wouldn't that still be the same?
Well, where's she took the shirt off. I was going to use her as use Robbie's shirt as an example.
Oh, I could put it on. Hold on.
When it comes to colorism, you have light, you have fair, you have caramel, you have then it's brown, then it's like mocha, and then it's like charcoal.
Okay, so who gets treated treated poorly? Who does
The
that?
charcoal, the charcoals.
Everybody else is basically light.
Oh no.
I mean, I don't mean light. I mean,
And just like that,
lighter.
You have, for instance, like you have, say for instance, you have
okay, they go to.
I get your security boss.
Right. Like
Yeah, there it is, right there.
We drippy. What shade are you?
Yeah, there go this different shades right there.
The end on the end.
I'm
the end on the
You are
Like,
I think I matched the E. What you matching with? Tawanda, you look like you might match the E, maybe a little bit of the L, baby.
Yeah, Tawanda, you are definitely the E.
Okay.
That does kind of, Tawana, I gotta say that, Tawana, you're on the lighter end of the spectrum.
Maybe it's my ring light make y'all think I'm lighter.
We going backstage, Mandrill. So I'll get you in on the backstage. I'll let you know when to come back up. Okay, we're gonna go backstage.
This test.
Okay, so hey, Mandrill, thank you for coming in, Mandrill. My guy, he'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
We got to talk.
Anything from the first N to the M is acceptable, right?
Yeah, he asked you a question, right, Mandrill?
I just asked them how did the lighter skin women ever use their skin color to their advantage? I did. I'm not gonna lie, because the darker skinned women, men that I was talking about, these guys are higher ranked than I was by 3 times. Like they had 3 ranks over me. I'm doing the security briefings, and the journals are paying attention to me. The other guys, first sergeants, I mean, these guys are E8s. And they just kind of being ignored. And then they start asking me questions. I'm like, what? They could have just asked them.
If I may, I think to Mandrell's point, because again, I will agree. I mean, Mandrell, you look like a little fair skin to me, but I really didn't attribute it to being fair skin. I'm just gonna keep it 1,000. I attribute it to being a good-looking female officer, quite frankly. So I just use it. I'm just like, hey,
tell them you were sharp.
I did. I attributed it to being a good-looking female officer who, because again, I was a first lieutenant giving briefings like yourself to general officers and people that were much higher ranking than myself. But I just looked at it, hey, did I use it?
Yep.
Yes, sir. I sure did.
I did too.
You was sharp, TJ. You was just sharp.
Now the thing is, I was
a lot of people
for your service.
A lot of people use their whiteness as a privilege. It's not a bad thing, but their proximity. I mean, I'm not trying to.
I'm a fan now. Come on, don't lose
your
one tonight.
proximity to whiteness. You know,
my proximity to whiteness.
You use it as a privilege.
But here's the thing, Tawana. These same people, they never ever let me believe or let me get too comfortable. Meaning they always reminded me I'm still black.
Yeah.
You may be sharper than me, you may be smarter, you may be better than me in every spectrum, every way. You're still a nigga.
But you gotta work harder. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's what I was constantly reminded of. I was again better than them in every way.
All right, Mandrill, I'll see you backstage, my brother.
All right.
Challenges.
Thank you, Mandrill. I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, security boss. Hey, TJ.
Listen, we're gonna have your sister. We're gonna have your sister. He gone. I'll pick him later.
I'm not black. I'm OJ.
So what now? Have my sister what now? Work on my soft skills.
We're gonna have your sister over on Unsolicited. That's all.
Since I've been banned, you're gonna replace you with my sister.
No problem.
Listen, guys. Listen. It's been good. I got to go. It's way late.
All right. Thank you, security boss. Yeah, well, I'm gonna take a couple more calls and we out anyway.
Okay. Good night, beautiful chocolate.
Thank you.
Thank you for the chocolate.
Can y'all see me? Right? Y'all see me?
Yes, melanin popping. Yes.
Shout out to Unsolicited and Uncle Boss. Shout out to both of you.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Thank you, Mr. Boss. Unsolicited. Thank
Love
you. All right, so we're gonna bring the one and the only. I am Courtney Michelle is in the building tonight. I'm Courtney. What's going on, girl?
What up?
Yeah, what up? So what you got for us tonight, Sugarfoot?
Let me say, Tawana.
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
historic, ain't it, my girl?
Yes. Okay. What's up, girl? How are you? You look
good.
Beautiful.
How are you doing?
You look good. Yeah.
You too.
Good. Thank you.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on?
I wanted to comment on the last subject about dark-skinned women and are they more aggressive? We would be remiss if we don't think that there's truth to a stereotype. That would be just silly. Stereotypes happen for a reason. I think we don't focus on the whys. So if we're saying that darker skinned women they've been prone to be more aggressive, that is a stereotype. Is it true? There is truth to that stereotype, but it's the understanding of the why. So back in the day, we talk about slavery, the lighter skinned women were usually mixed breed children that got treated better because the white folks, their master, that was their fathers. So lighter skinned people have always been treated better. They didn't have to work on the field because of their lighter skin, because they were mixed. So if you take it that way on how we became a lighter skin because we mixed with white folks, then you understand that that still perpetuates to our ideology and our thought process as of today. Lighter skinned women have always been treated better. It's a light skin privilege. And it's always been where light skinned women and dark skinned women has always been kind of somewhat of a battle because that privilege exists. Darker skinned women has had it harder. Darker skinned men has had it harder. That's why in politics, you got Obama and light skinned men, Cory Booker, they're able to move up because they are lighter. It's the truth. But if we don't face it and understand it, it's always trying to fight a stereotype. Well, I ain't because I'm darn, I'm this. Okay, you might be, but that stereotype reigns in because there is some truth, but it is the why. So it would make sense that if darker skinned women are a little bit more aggressive because they had to fight more. They had to prove a lot more than lighter skinned women do. So it is some truth to that. So we can't just sit here and say, no, it's just a stereotype. Well, it's a stereotype that Black folks eat chicken. I bet majority of y'all over there ate some KFC and some Popeyes. Now we have some that don't. Oh, I'm vegan. Okay, I get it. But stereotypes reigns of, it's a truth to it. But we need to speak about the whys. And we don't have to be ashamed to say it. Now we can try to change it, yes, but how do we change it? We need to focus on Black women learning to be a little bit more feminine than we are. So again, going back there, Tawana, I know you was giving a lot of pushback. You know, I'm gonna disagree with you.
I know. I already know how you feel about it, girl.
You already know.
I already know.
You already know. So are Black women feminine? We're not. But again, it is the why. We have been pinpointed out in this society, in the U.S. in particular, to break away our families. So Black women had to be the man in a lot of cases in this household. Now men are saying you don't have to be. I want to be. I want to be the provider. I want to be the protector. But them strongholds that we have in our community is strong as shit. Mm-hmm. So in order to break these generational curses where grandmama and them could be feminine, but now I couldn't because daddy wasn't there and I had to be, y'all know, y'all like to say mom and daddy. Look, ladies, Father's Day is in a couple months. You ain't the daddy. Ain't no happy Father's Day. I'm the mama and daddy. No, you just the mama. Even though daddy might not be there. You ain't playing roles because you can't be a man. Just want to throw that out there. So, but there's generational curses, there's strongholds that we have in our community. But again, if we're trying to hide it because some of it is embarrassing, then we don't push the needle forward and we can't go over this hump when we try to hide it so much. If you're a darker skinned woman and you don't fit the bill, good. But you can't say that it's not some truth to it. If you're a lighter skinned woman and I ain't never had no light skin privilege, you use a lie. I know someone talked about the paper bag test and that was in schools. I know here in Tennessee, Fisk University stopped doing that maybe 15 years ago. Spelman stopped doing it like 10 years ago. It's still indoctrinated in us now where we have schools, Howard University. You have to send pictures of yourselves to this school. And this stopped 10 years ago. Where you have a picture on what you look like. And you don't think color played a part in it? We talk about fraternities and sororities. What is the stereotype of an AKA? The stereotype of a Zeta. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know, was it Mandrell, or they automatically assumed that security boss was a Zeta. Why you think that is? Because she's dark skinned. So again, colorism is still affecting today. We just saw it in real time 5 minutes ago. If she was a light-skinned woman, she would have been thought of as an AKA. So these things exist, but we have to be honest. And there was a lot of cappity cap on the platform. And that's why TJ over there looking all knocked down. See, I know I said TJ. You know,
first of all, I agree with you, by the way, except femininity. You know, I don't agree with that. But I agree with everything else you said. Everything else you said.
I cannot wait until next the first Tuesday in June, because that's the damn show right there. It's going to be, are there different forms of femininity? And I'm definitely going to have you back for that one.
Oh, you want me to bring back? Okay.
Absolutely.
Can I speak on that one? Because I'm telling you, I used to feel that way too until I came here, and I've seen, I'm telling you, it's like magic. You hear me? It's like magic. Like, I've seen women just be like, oh, silly me, I dropped this. And dudes just, I'm talking about, like, eat it up. I'll never forget, I saw this girl one time, like, my homeboy was talking to this girl, and like, she had this most obnoxious laugh. And he is, I'm talking about eating it up. And I didn't say it out loud, but I went to my bad, like, friend, she is working you, friend. Don't fall for
Is she married? Is she married, Shamira?
Baby, listen.
I'm just saying.
Don't nobody want no
I'm
phony.
not doing nothing.
Don't nobody want no phony woman.
It's not about
Men want that soft woman.
I can't wait to talk
want that soft woman.
I'm telling you, it's like somebody like waved the magic wand. Like,
but here
I'm not listening nothing. I'm not opening no doors. None of that.
Let me tell you, my man fixed everything in his house, right? If it comes in, he gonna fix it right away. That's how he is. I don't understand. Like, I ain't gotta be like, oh, I don't know how to fix that. Like, he's a man. He knows.
You're not using femininity to get him to do something.
But what I'm saying, I don't. First of all, Sir Hill, what I'm saying is that.
Hey, look.
What I'm saying is that
I'm gonna treat you like you treat me.
Hold on. What I'm saying is that, because I'm talking to the lady, I would see that's what men do. They get in women's business, right? I'm talking to the lady.
No, I had a point that I was going to make.
I'm talking
Tawana,
to the lady.
Listen, Tawana. Listen, I told you I respect you earlier.
I'm talking to the lady.
If you're gonna get smart, I'm gonna get back with you.
Women's business. I'm talking to the lady.
Well, first of all, I'm co-hosting this show, and you're on it. So let's show some respect.
So I gotta go. Thank you so much, Unfiltered, because really I wanted to just respond to her, but I'll come back and talk about femininity if you want to, with all women on the panel. But thank you so much for inviting me. And Courtney, you know, a pleasure seeing you, sweetie. Everybody else, thank you so much.
All right, so I'm gonna bring up my girl OG Patrice is in the building tonight. So Courtney, thank you for being here as well. Information man, what's going on, my bud? How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for letting me come up. I've been listening to the conversation most of the night, and it's been a fantastic conversation. A lot of people are getting their thoughts out. But I did leave something in the chat room, because the question is, when are we as a people going to move forward from this reality of colorism and what it has done to our psyche for decades and years? And I do agree that dark-skinned Black women, dark-skinned Black people in general that are darker skinned have gone through a lot of hell. I think what was missing up here is nobody talked about the caricatures. How many of you have seen the documentary Ethnic Notions? When I was in college, we had to study that. The way they use Black people, the lips, the features, and they tried to dehumanize, and they always use darker figures. So in their advertisement and their marketing, so darker skinned Black people have always been demonized in this way for a long time. And then we know that this was all put together to conquer and divide us from the very get-go, so that we would be doing what we're doing today, which is still not moving forward from something that keeps holding us back. Now, as much as the ladies have been talking about black men liking lighter skinned women, look, man, I go back. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 52 years old. I remember back in the day. Let's not forget back in the 80s, where sisters was into the light-skinned dudes, like the barge types. I remember you go into the beauty shops and they're saying, "Oh, girl, let's look at the back of the child's ear so we can see if that child's still going to be light-skinned when it gets older." I saw all of that growing up. So our women have had a taste for lighter-skinned black men who they preferred over darker-skinned black men. And then when we got into the 90s, all of a sudden, everybody was in love with the Wesley Snipes of the world. In the chest, nuts and all those kind of guys, right? So we keep pushing this on ourselves.
Don't forget, I'll be sure now.
I'll be sure. I remember that. So there was a lot of brothers back in the day who wasn't getting any kind of play because you didn't fit that type of look that some sisters, not all, but some sisters were looking for. What I'm basically saying is we're both doing it to each other. And I think we need to be listening to each other. And like the sister said earlier, why is this happening? Let's get to the essence of why this is happening or what we're going to do to stop it. Now, one of the sisters that you have on the panel, I believe she's a little bit younger, and I put this in the chat room. I think the younger generation today and going forward, they may not have this same issue like the older generation have. And what I'm trying to say here, please bear with me. As older black folks, whatever your age is, but you're older, we got to stop taking the baggage of the past that we haven't dealt with psychologically, we haven't gotten any help for, any of this, and carrying it into the next generation. We're poisoning them with our shit that we haven't been able to deal with, whether you're a baby boomer, a Gen X, or whatever. We got poison that we haven't dealt with, and we're giving it to the other generation. This younger generation, they're trying to move on from the bullshit. They're trying to say, hey, we're in a different world than you all grew up in. So when are we going to learn from our younger generation who is trying to move on from this shit and deal and heal ourselves? That's our problem, black folks. That is our problem.
Amen.
Anybody want to respond to that information? Man,
Yeah.
information.
And 06 to the Delta on here. 06, I'm an alpha man. 06, A5, Zyro, Spring 89.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I'm agreeing with him, but the younger generation is still doing it. And there was a rapper, Kodak Black, who is representative of the younger generation that has been recorded multiple of times saying, I ain't gonna be with no dark-skinned woman.
Right.
I don't want no dark. She gotta be light, bright, damn near white. So it's affecting them as well too.
But why? Let me ask you this, sister. Why do we use why do we use entertainers and buffoons like the Kodak Black? Why do we use these individuals who obviously have some psychological, some issues with them already, and we take them as the example of where black men are thinking about black women? We're looking at entertainers, guys that have issues, guys who hardly have a high school education, but they can rap.
I'll tell you why.
Everybody want to be.
I'll tell you why.
I don't think the young are the only
Okay, Courtney, then we'll go around the room. Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. It's the same exact reason why when the first thing that you came on here and you talked about like Birth of a Nation and why they use the caricatures of black people and how that's perpetuated in society. It even makes us look at ourselves different.
Right.
It's the same thing. Unfortunately, there's a reason why these people are propped up, if majority of black men believe in Kodak Black or not. When he says something to the masses, it also affects us.
I agree with that.
Have these media, when we have, you hear it all the time in this space, the color purple. Everybody know Mr. wasn't necessarily, could be true, but not necessarily representative of black folks. But however, that Mr. perpetuated what you saw in its entirety in the media. And once we keep seeing a thing, it indoctrinates us. So the media matters. When Kodak Black says he don't want no dark-skinned woman, and other people that look up to him also perpetuates that thought,
Mm-hmm.
It's a trickle down effect, and now we still are having that black, darker skinned women are this, and lighter skinned women are this, and it affects us. Media
Right.
does.
Right. Just like I know some folks are fans of Tyler Perry. Look at some of the movies that he produces where he sort of makes black men look demonized. But yet but he's okay because he's got a cleaner cut look than Kodak Black, but he's doing some similar things to us, not to mention that character he plays of a female where they're always putting black men in a dress.
But
You
this
see?
is the thing that speaks to what I've been talking about all night. Ain't nobody catch what I said. That monarch programming. It's media, it's entertainment, it's the books you read, it's what you taught in school, what you teach your children, and what is programmed into your subconscious in order for you to accept. None of this is real. You're choosing to believe it. Unplug from the matrix, but in order to do that, you first have to realize what the problem actually is.
Well,
May I say something?
perception becomes reality, and as much as you can say the monarch program, in which I understand, I get it, but programming, indoctrination, your perception becomes your reality. So it does become real. And I know you talked about race, and there's no such thing as race. I'm black and proud to be a black woman. Blackity black, black, black. Race, there's thing, but deal in reality, people see you as black, and you're going to get treated as black. Actually, so instead of running from it, realize it, and then we can deal with it. We're black people.
What I said was that race was social.
Contact information.
I said it's not.
Okay. I'll leave my email in the back chat.
Yeah, I would love to have you on, brother.
Great platform you have here, brother. I'll have to get you on my platform as well. I love it. As well as Sir Hell, I got to get you on too, brother. Great content creators up here. And I've subscribed to most of folks' channels up here too and left messages. So I'll put it in the back chat. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'd love to have you on, brother.
Now, what I actually said was race is scientifically unfounded, but it's a social construct. That was the exact quote, because that's the exact truth. Now, of course,
they say gender is a social construct too. No, a woman is a woman, a man is a man. Y'all, this social construct. You is what you is. I'm a black woman.
Okay, so I want you to go on ahead and cut yourself and take your blood, put it underneath a microscope. I want you to go cut somebody's Spanish, take their blood, put it underneath a microscope. I want you to go cut somebody's wife, take their blood, put it underneath a microscope. Go ahead and break it down to the smallest atoms of their DNA structure. And I want you to show me any of the difference. They even have scientific studies that say that 23andMe and Ancestry DNA is anecdotal at best, because they don't have a wide enough base group that they're pulling from in order to ascertain people's genetic racial makeup. It's a whole bunch of bull crap. And at the end of the day, like how I said, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm not here to unplug everybody's mind. If you want to believe that race is a real thing, if you want to believe that you have to keep being brainwashed and keep perpetuating the stereotypes that you're fed instead of figuring out solutions on how to unplug from that and change your mindset, that's cool. That's good for you. I don't choose to ascribe to that. You understand what I'm saying? So I get what y'all saying, but like I said earlier, I'm going to keep on saying it. It's foreign to me because the way my mind is set up, the way I was raised to think, I'm not raised to think in the lines of brainwashing and stereotypes. And that's how the majority of Black people continue to be held back. Just saying real quick.
OG Patrice, go ahead and get your word in, sweetheart. Hi, and welcome to the show. OG Patrice in the building, y'all.
Hey, OG Patrice.
Hey, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? Listen, I just want to say two things before I make my point. I was in the chat saying, Tawana, you in danger, girl. In my Whoopi Goldberg from Ghost voice when they was coming at us. Wait, and then I was in the chat. I was like, man, if y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here was an emoji, it will be TJ. The face expression from me.
Hey, yo.
Anyway, how y'all doing? Listen, this is good conversation. I agree with a lot of what's been said on both sides of the spectrum, but I do wanted to make the point of of saying that I said it in the chat just recently. You know, my granddaughter's getting ready to graduate to go to college. She's going to Florida FMU. She's going to FMU. She's just been accepted. She pledged to a sorority, that the one that she really wanted, and they told her, you would be better at this particular sorority because of your fair skin. She was just told this 2 weeks ago. So I want y'all to know that colorism is still real and exists in the world today. And for her to have to call her mom and us crying about it, to me, is very, very sad, because it's continuing to be perpetuated in our own community, right? And let's talk about the stereotypical dark skin, you know, the dark skin or the Black woman being the mad Black woman, and the darker she is, the more aggressive she is. But there, and I agree totally with what Courtney said. It is because, for the most part, Black women in general has been through the most generationally than any other race of women. But let's talk about also the other side of that spectrum of women of color, because there are some spicy Latinas that I haven't heard get talked about on this panel. There's some spicy women from the islands that has not been talked about on this panel. So let's just be real about everything broad, you know, all around the spectrum when you're talking about Black women or women of color in general. So I just want to make those points. I will gladly digress and go back in the chat and enjoy the rest of the panel. But TJ, sis, listen, your face, I love it. Thank you. Because you was like, yeah. So I caught that. But I love y'all. I'm going back in the chat. Love y'all.
Yeah. All right.
I have a quick question for Raw B.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Because you're saying race is a social construct and we all bleed red, which we absolutely do. You're familiar with organ harvesting?
I am.
Oh, yeah.
Whose organs do they harvest?
They harvest the organs of people that are homeless, that are unaccounted for. You do realize that all organs.
The skin color, who are they? Majority of skin color.
It's the homeless and the unaccounted for. If you want to make it about color, then that's more than fine. Here's the part that you fail to realize.
Okay, well, hold on for me, because I asked you, but you didn't necessarily answer. It's Black.
No, I gave the answer. I didn't give the answer you wanted me to give, but continue.
Well, because it's cap. So it's Black
not
people.
Cap. It's
Black people. They take our organs.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's for a reason.
For your, let's say it.
Blackness, we all bleed red. However, my hair texture, it's black. It's blackness.
Hair texture is black.
The makeup.
The makeup is black.
My nose is of a Black person. My lips, my makeup. So it's more than what we bleed. Our DNA, how we are, the essence of who I am, how I talk. Anybody can tell you on the panel, if we're going to keep it 100 funky, that you can tell a Black person even by how they speak. If someone calls you, you know already if they Black or white.
That's funny because you know what? Like all my life, I've literally been told that I sound white. Oh my God! So you can't, you can't actually say that. You can't say that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep it honest.
I'm keeping it honest, very much so. I've been told that I'm a little white girl in a Black girl's body my whole life. So now you're telling me that me telling you that is not keeping it honest. In my job that I do, where I'm on the phones all the time, people always naturally assume that I'm white, but you're telling me that that's not what happens. Okay, cool. I feel you. Go ahead, sis.
Well, I didn't assume you was white. I was listening. I wasn't looking. I knew you.
Right, because I'm not at work. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking to you like how, you know, y'all talk.
Well,
But
that's called conditional femininity, and that's a whole nother
is it?
conversation.
Okay, well, if that's how you feel, so what would you call it?
That's
You think you're being
conditional.
feminine?
You can't be switching it up. You
Do
go
you think
big,
you're
I'm
being
gonna go
feminine? It's
big.
called being professional. It's called speaking to the educational level that is necessary to speak to in certain conversations. That's not conditional femininity. But continue.
Well, if you're educated, you gonna be educated, point blank, period, right?
Oh,
Peace, sisters, peace.
What up, my guy? Yes, come through, my guy, because you already know it's about to
Mike,
get
welcome to the show,
Black,
man.
Black Man Unfiltered. I'm gonna step down, but thank you for having me on, brother. And
Absolutely, man. I sent
I
you an
left my email in the back chat. Everybody,
Oh,
take care.
You already emailed you, man. It's already in your
All
email.
right, all right. Peace, everybody.
So speaking of information
Speaking
here.
white is professional. I just want to make sure I'm understanding clearly. I just want to make sure.
No, when I'm
Is
speaking in
white
professional,
professional?
no, when I'm speaking in professional vernacular, other people have a tendency to say that I sound like a white girl. I
Okay,
don't
thank you for
ascribe to
clarification.
that part. So let's be very clear. But when we're talking about, again, race and phenotypes, I guess, Courtney, is it? You missed the point where I said that white skin is a genetic anomaly because all people originate from Lucy, the oldest bones found in Africa. So you do understand that, like, black people, Asian people, white people, Spanish people all come from the same genetic pool, right? You understand that, right?
Yeah, I'm very intelligent and I can understand where the bones come from. However, I do understand that when you move to different climates, an evolution changes, and the change also happens in your DNA. So even though I'm not in a hot climate as in Africa, and I could be in a cold climate in Alaska, I'm still going to be a black woman with black hair. So it's not going to change because I'm black. Now it doesn't matter. We've changed. So we can go back and keep talking about these original bones, but let's talk about what's going on
and
now.
the darkest skin, the whitest skin and the darkest skin, the whitest skin and the darkest skin, the whitest and the darkest come from where? Africa. The darkest person in the world is from Africa. The whitest person, an albino with a complete absence of melanin or any color in skin, eyes, or hair, comes from Africa. That ain't never going to change, sweetheart. But I guess it depends on if you are a Big Bang theorist or if you believe in the story of creationism. It just kind of matters. I mean, but you're intelligent, so I'm not intelligent because you are. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to everything you say is right?
Are we giving out Oscars tonight? What is going on?
That's what you just said. You said I'm intelligent. I've never had to say that. I never had to say that.
Okay, guys. So Mike,
I think it was because of the condescending tone that you spoke. You spoke to her in a condescending tone. I think that's why she said that.
So, ladies, Mike R has a question. Mike R has a question, guys. Mike R has a question.
It wasn't necessarily a question.
Mike R in the building, man. Mike R, what's going on, man? What you got for us tonight, brother?
It was something that I wanted to bring into the conversation. I don't know if you guys have talked about it. First of all, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you good, bro.
Absolutely.
Okay, so understand that all of this color conversation stems from one group of people, and that's white people. Okay, they created the color system. They created the 5 colors. Remember, black, brown, red, yellow, and white. First of all, they call us black. Yet when I look at my skin, what is it? Brown. We're shades of brown. So this is why when people talk about black and brown folks, I laugh. I'm like, oh, you're talking about the same group of people, me. Because when you look at me and then you put me next to a Latino, he's definitely going to be lighter than me. So really, who's black, who's brown, who's these colors? Where did they get this color system from? I'll tell you another thing too. Why is it that in media, right, in daytime TV, every time they show a black woman, she's fat and overweight? Lonnie Love, Whoopi Goldberg, as if there's no black women or dark-skinned women that are fit to compete with those lighter skinned co-hosts or those white co-hosts. Why is that? You don't think they're trying to send a message about Black people, that they're all out of shape, that they're all this, that all that? Every time they show a Black man or a Black woman, it's always something negative connected to it. They're always classifying us. They're always saying who's Black and who's not Black. You got Negroes today, Black men trying to throw Kim Kardashian in the Black category. I'm like, where? She's from the Caucasus Mountains. She's nowhere near Africa. But you'll have Negroes that'll say that she's Black because she has what? A big butt? A characteristic that anybody can get if they go to a gym? Doesn't make her Black.
No,
doesn't give her a Black experience.
No, it definitely doesn't. Mike, let me ask you this, because you talked about Black women being heavier set. Are we not?
No. They're picking those women on purpose and putting them up there as the face of Black women on daytime TV.
Well,
they could get.
Well, what about Sunny
a
Holston? Sunny
They
Holston.
had.
Woman.
Yeah. Well, they had. To be
Right.
fair, they had Tamar Braxton and Tamara Mowry, and they.
Tamara Mowry ain't Black. That's a no. She's mixed. Let's not throw her in there. I'm
Black.
talking about dark skin women.
No, she's
I'm
Black.
talking about dark skin women.
Is she biracial?
She has a white. No, she's mixed. Mixed people are safe. They will put mixed people up there in their best form and their best set. Every time they get dark skinned people, dark skinned women on daytime TV, they're heavy and overset. Look at Mother Love, okay, Lonnie Love, Whoopi Goldberg. Every time they'll never put a dog on Bria Miles up there. They won't put, but they'll put freaking Mother Love and all of them up there. The mammy, right? Just like your boy Misinformation
Tamar
was talking
Braxton
about.
was there.
They'll put the mammy up there.
Eve is
as
not
a
overweight.
stereotype.
Eve is full-blooded Black woman.
Right, yeah.
Eve?
Tamar Braxton is a full-blooded Black woman. Yeah,
Yeah, but she's not overweight. You said they keep throwing overweight.
I think.
Now, I mean, you gotta be careful because, like in media, what they're doing now, they are starting to do more. It's this whole all
Body
inclusive
positivity
type of, all this inclusivity. So there
Okay, then let's just deal with color. Okay, then let's deal with color. Then the sister down here at the bottom next to me, she mentioned Fresh and Fit. Myron is a what is he from? He's like from Ethiopia or something like that. That dude is Arab. He's not
Somalia.
even Black.
He's from Somalia.
I don't care where he's from. He's
I thought
not
he was from
one of us.
Sudan. Sudan.
Sudan, whatever. He's an Arab. You can clearly see he's Arab. He's not one of us. The other dude is a Caribbean. He's not ADOS. He's not an African American. He doesn't know our struggle. He coming here off of the strength of what some white people tell him about color, about Black people. That's why he goes in on Black American women so much, because he's hanging around the white guys. Those guys are hanging around white guys, picking up white people talking points. They are not from our neighborhoods. And we have to stop letting these outsiders represent our Black people that are here. I'm sick and tired of it.
Well, this
When are we going to get our stuff together?
Let me get Chris's.
That's a whole nother
perspective on this
conversation. If
real
you're talking
quick.
about FBA
Is
and
it?
ADOS, that's a whole nother conversation.
It's not.
They Black. It's no
Yeah,
everything is
I want to
race.
get.
They Black. They look Black.
I want
They
to get
Black.
Chris. Let me get Chris in on this real quick. Chris, what are you? Because you've been waiting patiently. Thank you so much, hon. So, what do you think? What is your perspective on what Mike R said?
It was a little bit hard to follow. I can't really say I agree. But to push back, I tend not to push back on the idea of whether or not someone's Black. People take that very personally. Like they're very much tied to it. So I'm sorry, I don't have too. It was a bit sorry. It was a bit difficult for me to follow. I don't think I really understand what he's saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Mike R, you had anybody else had anything else for Mike R? Before we ain't signing in here? Anybody? No? Okay.
Hey, you
All right.
coming in, Mike R?
Hey, thank you, Mike R, man. I appreciate you, bro. Hey, come back more, man. I appreciate you, man.
Mike R.
Thanks to the chat. Thank you.
Thank you for your perspective, brother. All right. So we got all the way from Shanghai, China. We ain't signing in the building. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, Black man, Black Satin? How you doing? Courtney Michelle. Courtney, I want to say I have absolutely a new profound respect for you. You've been dropping bars since you've been on this panel. You've been dropping bars. So I just want to say I appreciate you. And even though we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. I absolutely 100% respect your point of view.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
So I wanna say this, and like, so first I want to say this, right? If you give a vial of blood to any forensic department in any police station, they will be able to tell you the gender and the race of the blood that belongs to you. So race and gender exists. It's not a social construct to identify the race and gender. So I'm gonna leave that there. Second, when we're looking at colorism, right, and we're seeing that, okay, clearly colorism is an issue that's kind of plaguing most of the female population. Like, for example, here in China, 90% of all cosmetics, soaps, whatever, have whitening agents in it, right? Everybody bleaches their skin because the white woman is the standard of beauty globally, right? And there's no place on earth that bleaches more than Asia. Nowhere more than that. And there's nowhere more on earth that you get job opportunities, social status based on your skin color than Asia, right? It's in India and China, to be exact. So, and also Brazil. Let me take that back. Brazil is heavy in that as well. So the question now becomes, because since it's always been a hot topic in these spaces, the question is if we don't like it, and clearly it's being seen as a problem, how do we hold Black women accountable who perpetuate colorism in the family and in the community?
Oh, anybody want to jump on that question real quick? What's TJ? You ready for that for that answer, sweetheart?
Well, and actually, yes, I am, and because I actually am dealing with it right now. And what I mean by that, again, it goes back to being unconscious when we do it. You know, you've seen me do shows with my daughter. My daughter is a little bit darker than myself, and my son-in-law is even darker than her. Well, my grandbaby, their first child, is extremely fair-skinned. Extremely fair-skinned. So I've had to correct my daughter because she said, yeah, you know, she on that light-skin energy. You know, and I'm like, no, don't, because that's putting these things into the baby's head before she's even able to understand what it means, and then possibly sending her out into the world with this idea that somehow because she's lighter skin that she is better. So again, I don't think it's something that they consciously do, because my son-in-law did it too. But again, it kind of goes back to, I'm not sure who said it, you know, we maybe it was the other gentleman that was on here, that we perpetuate certain things that we don't intentionally do it. But when we are able to recognize it, I'm able to recognize it now as a 54-year-old woman, where I was not able to recognize and really appreciate it when I was in my 20s. So I can take the steps to say, correct those things when those things are being said, to not put that into my granddaughter's head that, you know, I'm light skinned, so I'm somehow this or I'm somehow that. But I have to start teaching that and correcting that when I hear it. So again, that's how I answer that question.
Anybody else want to answer that question?
I think that's going to be extremely difficult unless we go back to like the 70s and stuff like that, when it was cool to rock afros and stuff like that again. And, you know, my Black is Beautiful campaigns and all of that. Other than that, I mean, because the bottom line is still ingrained, and it's hard to get something out when it's ingrained, because that means everybody has to be on the same accord. And it's like, that's the problem, how to get everybody on the same accord. That's the real issue. And that I don't have an answer to. Just to be 100%. We can keep saying, oh, we need to do this and that. But the bottom line is, if everybody's not on the same accord, you still gonna have the same issue.
Exactly.
Anybody else want to answer that question that we ain't signed and gave us tonight? Sir,
Yeah,
Hill,
but I just cannot. Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to make a quick comment, but I'll wait.
Oh, Sir Hill, you got anything you want to say about what he just said?
I do. I just think that from what I've seen, it is going to just start with us dealing with it in our families. I think that if we start there, what the world says, because to be honest with you, and I'm just being real, I don't really hear a lot of this colorism talk come from a lot of men. And this is just my personal experience. And so I think that this has to start at the homes. And I think that we have to stop the language where, like, again, my daughter was, you know, she was given a compliment to create a sort of buffer just in case she thinks that because she's dark, there's something wrong with her. Like that kind of stuff has to stop. And we've got to appreciate all the shades that Black come in and just make that a normal thing. So I think it's going to play a big role with it starting in the home.
Appreciate that, man. All right, Wing Son, did you have another question before I bring
No, Sergio actually addressed that, what I was going to say, because, you know, from the panel, you know, what we got from today, it seems like it's perpetuated from other women and other Black women. Like when Sergio gave his story about a Black woman came and said that to his daughters. So that's what I was more speaking of, but he addressed it. So you can drop me to the back.
All right, man. Hey, man, thank you. We ain't signing, man. I hope everything's going good over there in China, guys. If you don't know,
we still locked up, but we here till June, man. This is
they're still on C9.